for him. Okay. Or what about the people that support Carmelo and they throw the book at him and say he has life in prison? People are going to flip out. They're already flipping out in the parking lot, right? And I wasn't expecting that part because I'm like in the South. I'm from New York. Anything is liable to happen, right? So at any rate, let's get back to Eddie before we get into the story. So here's the thing. The reason why I started off telling you guys about Eddie is because if you can stay with the narrative that he didn't know Eddie, it makes the prosecution case very similar to what I hear on the mainstream media. You get these guys who just up there saying anything and they say, yeah, he had a bad motive. His intent was bad because he came and he sat beside a guy he didn't even know, and they're trying to talk to him. And then you'll hear so many people saying Austin was just kindly trying to tap his shoulder and say, hey, fella, can you leave out of here? Okay. But let me tell you this, and it's very important that you understand what I'm saying. And I go back to what I started to tell you when the attorney initially asked this guy, Eddie, about what was being said between Carmelo and Austin. The attorney says, when this happened, maybe within a 24-hour period, you gave a statement, and that statement is probably more reliable to what you're saying today in court. And at that time, you said that Austin was standing up as though, he's the aggressor, and that he says, let's get his bitch ass up out of here. And before he revealed that, he asked Eddie, Uh, did Austin say bitch ass? Or anybody say bitch ass? Because he started off. Remember, I told you about 6 minutes ago. He started off saying that Carmelo called Austin a bitch first, and then Austin says, "No, you a bitch," right? Well, that's not what he said when it happened. He said Austin said, "We're gonna get your bitch ass up out of here." And he grabs him, right? Another guy, he's out of North Carolina. He just started college. I said, man, this guy, he might end up being a doctor. Real sharp little black guy. A lot of black kids came in. I was so impressed. They're all going to college. Life goes fast, don't it? You know what the little black guy did? He said, right? And I'm listening carefully and I compare the stories, right? He said that Austin grabbed, right? Carmelo Anthony like this. Carmelo never stood up. He never stood up. So Austin grabbed him and tried to lift him up, and he named and I have it in my notes. I could really pull it up, but my memory is pretty good. It's enough to get this story out. He grabbed him, and he's leaning, picking him up, okay? And prior to that, right? Prior to that, Carmelo had a backpack on his shoulder, and he had moved it to his lap when things started getting hot. Some of the individuals that came in and said that Hunter, I think it was the guy Tion, he said Hunter and them started on Carmelo first. Oh, wait a minute. Hunter was not supposed to be involved. He was just an observer. That's what all these kids want you to believe, that Hunter was just observing. But some of the kids are placing Hunter. Another kid placed Hunter standing behind Austin. So now Carmelo is sitting there with two boys. Now, listen, I grew up as a black man in America. I don't know if you guys realize that or not, right? But I'm talking about life in general. I've had my walk, right? So let me give you a little bit before we get back to that. Carmelo is 5'7", 130 pounds soaking wet, right? He has epilepsy, and I'm pretty sure the defense is going to use that. He's frail. You hit him probably one good time, you probably take him out. Okay? Not to say it's right what he did. I'm giving you guys the facts. You guys want to know what's happening with the case. I'm trying to give it to you. I went to court. I've been in court every day myself. Okay? So, Carmelo Anthony, and I'm here for it today. So anybody that want to be here with me, we're going to talk about this until I go back to court, right? Because I can't do this during the week. So I have to come back to my little studio, and just give it to you. So he's 5'7", 130 pounds. Austin, one of the coaches says he was working out. and he had gotten up to 220 pounds. I believe that's what Coach Star said. He was 6'1", 6'1", right? So he's 90 pounds heavier, allegedly, give or take. This is all testimony. He's 90 pounds heavier than Carmelo Anthony. And then if the other students are right, his brother is behind him standing. Okay. So let's back up. Let's rewind this thing all the way back here. And let's go back to this way that Austin. Now, here's the other thing. When they started on Carmelo Anthony, one thing that the defense brought out is that, hey, Eddie, yeah, Eddie's sitting there. Eddie, when they started saying, what are you doing under our tent? Who is this guy? Why didn't you pipe up and say, hey, that's my cousin's ex-boyfriend, and we used to, really be good friends or what have you. We played the video games together. I know him well. You know what Eddie did? Eddie stood up. He testified, guys. He pulled out his cell phone and he claims he pretended to start recording. You know what the defense did? They shredded him. They said, so you pretended to record them arguing, going back and forth, but you didn't record? Why did you do it? He says something like, oh, yeah, I was just being silly. And then you know what the defense said, right? He says, well, if you had really recorded this, then it would show the real truth about what happened between either sides of your friends. And so then the defense took him and says, oh, the detective, when he took your phone, guys, when a crime is committed, right? They come and take your phones. Like they took Diddy's phones right off the jump. They took all his videos. Luigi Mangione, they took it. In this case, we have the best evidence in the world, which is quite likely, could be possible that Eddie recorded this event between all of this. We would not have to question about this video that I'm going to tell you about that's way across the stadium. This video would set the record straight, right? And so that's what the defense attorney said. He was like, this video, if you had it, right, wouldn't it solve a lot of issues here? So even though they don't have this video and it's still questionable, because the defense attorney says, so the officer didn't take your phone and he looked in it while you were sitting there, and he looked in your deleted files and he looked through your Instagram, no, what is the Snapchat, right? And there's no video. That's all. They didn't take it and do a forensic to get a video that could really blow this case open. Now, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm sitting there. I wouldn't be surprised if they found that video, and that video might blow this case. It might blow the lid off this case, right? But I feel like something's in the air for them to take this guy to trial. Give me 1 second. So check this out. So while now all these kids say that there was no cursing, right, for one whole day. That was on Friday. No cursing. A strange kid came in and he said, yeah. He started saying that Carmelo was using the F word. In fact, the prosecution said that most of these children, most of the witnesses, their stories don't match. He said it. He set the stage like they knew that they would have this type of trouble. But we're here for it today, and I'm going to break it all down because I really can't do it every day. But while Austin is standing, keep in mind, Carmelo never stood up. He has epilepsy. He's probably carrying a knife because he's been getting his butt handed to him, probably just by any kid that can get their hands on. Boys always going to try to ruffle your feathers over girls. If you wear some Jordans, you know how this thing go. It doesn't matter if you're black or white. The black guy going to try the black guy to anybody. It don't really matter, right? But while Austin was really stepping up and really I'm going to tell you why Austin was moving pretty fast, because we can detect that on the video that came out. But all these kids are saying, oh, he just went over there and touched him on the shoulder just like that right there. Here you go. Hey, Bo, get out of here. No, the video show us what happened. Another student testified. He told When Carmelo grabbed the backpack from his shoulder, he put it in his lap. He put his hand in the backpack, right? He got his hand in the backpack. Obviously, it's probably on the knife. It's one of those knives that you take your thumb to open it, not a switchblade like you would see in Michael Jackson Bad video, not that type of knife, but more like the knife. It's actually a multi-purpose tool with a very intimidating knife on it, but it can also do other things, right? Most men have those and women too to do work around the house. Okay, so when Carmelo put his hand in the bag, Austin is like, "Oh, I don't think he got nothing in his bag." And so the other boy testified. He said he told Austin, "Don't mess with him," because he said he felt like he could feel like Carmelo was not lying. So he told Austin, "Back up off this guy, okay? Leave him alone." So we go back to the point. Austin now, the guy, I think his name is Ryan. He testified. We're back here now, okay? Austin reaches down. Keep in mind, Carmelo is sitting the whole time. He never stood up, right? He has the knife in his lap. I mean, in the bag, his book bag. It's a Centennial book bag. Austin goes down pretty much like over him, grabbing him. If he's sitting, he has to bend. And to really get him. And when he went down like this, he stuck him in his abdomen, not the heart. Not that it makes a difference because he died, but he stuck him in the abdomen. But it's very important that we get the facts right because the media keeps saying they stabbed him in the heart. But again, these guys are not sitting in court. I'm sitting in court. I'm just trying to tell you some of these technical things. It's very important the work that I do. And I hope you guys see it in time that, I don't give you some bogus stories. Okay. So he reached down to grab him. And it's almost like this Carmelo Anthony probably grabbed it real quick, pulled it up, and Austin came down on it, right? Doesn't take away from his story, but that's different than what they're saying in this mainstream media. They make it seem like Carmelo was standing, took a knife, and reached up and stabbed this guy in the heart. I'm just trying to tell you, people are not telling the truth about any story. Forget about this story. They're not in court. They don't see the facts, but they just on the fly tell you some stories. I'm trying to tell you what came out in court. Now, I want to say to that, I believe it was Eddie yesterday. Remember Eddie? The guy, the reason why that Carmelo went to see him under the tent. The defense has done a good job in getting several of these kids to say, "Do other kids come over and sit under your tent?" They say, "Yeah." I used to go to school with him back in middle school or whatever, right? Okay, so we go sit under each other's tent. We're there all day long. And let's say Carmelo has to run at 10 and at 3. The other time he's walking around, probably trying to holler at the girls and see his friends. It's raining and they don't have a tent. He's trying to find some shelter and he goes and he sits under the tent with Eddie. And now the defense shows that him and Eddie have been the best of buds since 2023. He's not a stranger that they keep saying in the mainstream media. If you don't believe me, go pull the transcripts. Go pull the transcripts, right? So they're twisting this story. And it doesn't take away for those that are coming in, it doesn't take away that the boy had a knife at a school function. Does not take away from that. But I'm telling you, there's more to it. And that little more to it, if you go out there in that courthouse and into that courtyard thinking you're going to bully somebody when the verdict come through, you might end up a casualty too, because people are misinformed, uneducated, a little dumb, a little stupid, with a little bit of everything else involved. And they don't even care to be right or to understand. They just want to go out. Their life is miserable, right? And they can't go on vacation. They can't find a decent lady or whatever they want. And so now they just want to go out there and punch somebody in the head. I seen it myself in the courtyard, and the ladies came after me just because I was going to interview a guy saying, "No, you can't." I never had that happen in New York. People mind their business in New York, right? But they came over. You can't. I got it on video, but I went there. I'm not here to just show you the silliness of life. But at any rate, let's get back to it. Okay. So when Eddie in this whole thing, he's recorded it or he's pretended to record it, right? It's something troubling about that. That's why I can't wait to get back to court and see if the defense has that video because they were insinuating that they may have that video. And I'm telling you, the video, see, if the video was all bad for Carmelo Anthony, right? Now, he said he didn't put the video out there, right? He said he didn't record it. He just pretended to record it. And the defense says, listen, in this day and age, everybody want to record it. Remember World Star Hip Hop? People want to record you if you fall asleep. They record you if you fumble. They'll do anything to go viral. But if they have that video, more than likely the video is going to be more incriminating for the prosecution than for the defense. I wouldn't be surprised if they have something. I'm just saying that. But I'm trying to give those who really follow this channel and understand that when I go to court, they have never caught me out there like some of these YouTubers making up bogus stories. Okay. I don't carry that type of reputation. Okay. For people that are just coming into the chat, they're picking me up from Carmelo Anthony. They don't know me, so I get it. I let those people get a little pass. But Stella and Deborah and New Jersey and the moderators will throw you out of here on your head so fast you wouldn't even know you ever came to this chat. But I let them come to their own discretion when it comes to that. I try to stay focused on what I do. Okay. So let's get back to Eddie before I tell you the whole story. And then we're going to do another show tonight at 7 where I'm bringing on the criminal defense attorney. In a few minutes, I'm going to allow you guys to come up and give your ideas. If you want to ask me some questions, if you come with the smoke, I might entertain it, you know, but, I'll try to be nice about it. But if you're being disrespectful, then you got to go. This is a very serious matter and it's so sad. The mother keeps crying in court and it has a bearing on the jury. So let me switch gears a little bit. I've given you an idea about the whole situation with what happened with Eddie. So it's quite clear to a thinking person that this whole scenario that all these students came in trying to say that Carmelo didn't know Eddie. He knew him a little bit. They didn't really talk. Some of the students have really substantiated that they were talking. Now, this is where it gets to blow your socks off a little bit, so hold on to your socks. The defense attorney said to Eddie, he says, there was a track meet 10 days before this kid lost his life. He's like, yeah. He was like, you were with Carmelo Anthony then too. Oh, yeah. And the defense says, is it fair to say you were with him at the concession stand? He says, yeah. Oh yeah. No, you were with him. And I think Eddie says I was with him at the concession stand. The attorney, the defense attorney, he's like Matlock. He's a really sharp guy. I like him. He's like Brian Steele, my good friend Brian Steele that covered Young Thug. Shout out to Brian Steele. He follows this channel. He's one of the best to do it. He was one of Sean Combs' attorneys. So I really like that guy. I cover his cases too. Okay. So the defense attorney says to Eddie, he was like, were you guys talking on the field? Oh, I don't remember. He started off bold and bad. He starts to forget. Oh, I don't think so. No, I don't remember. They went back to the screen and they put it on the screen. You have 10 days prior to this happening at a track meet, you have Carmelo Anthony and you have Eddie sitting together on the field, having the time of their lives. You could just see it. You see the same glow you saw when they were together in the house. You follow what I'm saying? And at all these other events, and even their parents are friends, hanging out 2 and 3 times a month. Allegedly, that's what the defense attorney was bringing out with Eddie. Okay, so now people are like, wait, just 10 days prior, they're together. So you know what's going to happen when the next track meet happen? He's going to look for his friend Eddie. And that's what he did. He went over to look for Eddie just like they did before. And he sat down at this event and these guys says, hey, And I heard today somebody said the guy was being a Karen. I didn't like that scenario of how people are just trying to slant everything to make it so negative. But each of these kids are starting to testify. Some say Hunter was the first. That's a problem. That's a real problem for the prosecution, because how many people does it take to be on your head to measure what type of response you give to them if you feel threatened? So, for all of the wise guys in the chat, I want you to tell me now, how many people would have been okay to come after Carmelo Anthony at 5'7", 130 pounds, to where he needs to use some type of real force? I just want you to answer that. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying you have to factor in all of these details. This is the reason why I cover these cases and go to court, and I pay attention, so you can just not be like the person that's listening to mainstream media and they just say this guy was a devil and he woke up that morning going to take a life. Okay. And I'm not trying to say he's a saint, but I think most of the people that follow this channel are going to get what I'm trying to tell you, is that there's so many moving parts when it comes to this case. Okay. So you get how that was very shocking. And a lot of people, there's another witness too that actually put Hunter heavily involved in what happened. And I think that's going to be even more damning than anything that I've heard so far. Because if you can keep Hunter sitting up, most of these kids, they wanted to keep that Hunter was sitting down and that he was just saying a few things for his brother. But then you have these kids coming in that are going against the grain and saying Hunter was on his feet. So now you got two twins on your ass. You understand me? That's how we would say it in the backyard if I was talking to my granddaddy. Okay. So, but you started to get my picture that this is a serious matter. And again, he should not have had a knife at this event. But I want you guys to have a broader understanding of what really happened. So now let me lay it down. Now that you kind of know how this unfolded, right, in a way, now we're going to start off with, they brought in a video expert right from the beginning. The best video that they have. I know there's rumors about videos. In fact, Eddie, I told you about the video. He claimed he didn't take the video. Come on, man. He just put his phone up. You know what's weird about when he gave a testimony about the video and that he wasn't recording? The defense attorney kept saying, did you know these two people or one or two people actually saw you recording? So that told me they have some witnesses that saw the front side of Eddie's phone and that he probably had the red button going that he was actually recording. It's almost like they're walking them to this video that they have. Now they may not have a video, but if they come up with a video, I want you guys to remember this moment that I was paying attention in court, but I wouldn't be surprised if they have it. I have some guests that are trying to come up. Let me just get through this whole story real quick, and then I'm going to hand it over, and we're just going to entertain everybody who wants to come through and talk about it. I have time today. I am here for it, okay? So that video, I'm telling you, it's going to be, I think the defense has a video. If it's true, I want you guys to send me a note and say, man, you're a bad man. But they were asking that question like the defense said, listen, did you know that two people testified they saw you recording? Now, not as though he was recording, but they saw him holding his hand up. You see what I mean? So there's a reason why these attorneys do it. These little sharp guys like Brian Steele, they lead you right to your breaking point, real slow. They let you distort the truth all day, and then they drop the bomb on you. Boom, like the Gap Band, right? Okay, so anyway, we'll keep that in mind. If it happens, a few of you guys send me a note and say, oh man, you were right about that video. Okay. All right, so let's get to what happened that day. From across the field, imagine you're at the Knicks game. I think my Knicks are going to win this year. Okay. All right. So across the field, they have two videos, and it's at a Coliseum. And you know, if you go to a game or a Coliseum, when you go inside the gate, you can get your alcohol, you can get some food, some hot dogs, right? So you come down from your seats and you go through the gate. It shows, and first they substantiated what Carmelo Anthony was wearing. He had on a gray hoodie. and he had on some blue sweatpants, okay, track meet. He comes out. It's like he's trying to figure out where he needs to go. He probably realized that he didn't have a tent. He goes back in. He comes back out and he starts walking in the way of Austin's tent, right? And then he goes out of the frame. Unfortunately, with the two video positions that they have, there's a gap. So the West video is cut off here, and then the East video starts here. So when he's walking in between those points, you don't understand where he's going or whatever. You can't see if he stopped and talked to Louis and said hi to Rebecca. You don't get to see that. Then they show you where the twins and some other guys have testified that they're walking back from the concession stand or someplace and they're going to their tent. And it just shows it's kind of creepy how life can just change in minutes. Here you have two twins and some friends, and then they're meeting up with Carmelo, and it's all happening within like 2 minutes, and then this guy's gone in minutes, man. It's devastating, and I hate the fact that he took the guy's life. It's just so it really bothers me to just sit there. I feel nothing but pain and misery from the family, and you could tell he probably tremendously regretted too, but you can't turn back the hands of time. In my story, I'm going to break it down how he basically went crazy himself when he realized that he potentially took this young man's life. So they come together under the tent, okay? And then Carmelo Anthony, remember Eddie I told you about? He walks up and gives him some dap. Eddie makes it sound like it's a different scenario. He gives him some dap. He sits down. He's talking to him about the weather. I believe that part, okay? Hunter, many witnesses are saying Hunter and them started on Carmelo Anthony. Then Austin pipes in. Some people in the streets are saying that Hunter is probably the one that's more. Um, he's the real protector. I'll leave it at that, right? You know, in your family, you have that sibling that you don't want to mess with anybody, or you're gonna have to deal with him, right? I don't know, never met the guy, but I'm just telling you, with them saying that Hunter and them came after Carmelo, or just start questioning him. But what it seems to me, at least 3 or 4 guys have admitted to saying something to Carmelo. So he's sitting there. He came to talk to his friend. He has his walk in life too. Now all these guys are, and one guy came in yesterday. These guys were cussing up a storm and really getting at him, get him up out of here. Austin, even though one of his friends told him, "Don't do it, don't do it," I feel like he's not playing games because he says to him, if you know, basically, if you come after me, then I'm gonna get you, right? Well, Austin did not heed the warning. He went down to swoop, from what I gather, because even Eddie yesterday, who I felt like was a pretty decent witness, Eddie, when he first, I believe, when he first went to describe about this story about Austin just pushing, that's what they like to say, Austin pushed the boy on the shoulder. He actually used 2 hands. And when he used the 2 hands, and the defense attorney saw that the jury probably saw that, he said, okay, that's it. That's it for the story. He's like a Matlock type of guy, like a Brian Steele. They play that, they lead you down a dark road and they'll shred you to pieces. That's I'm just giving you the observation. Okay, I could tell you about the prosecuting attorneys too, right? With Diddy's trial, I was right on point. But at any rate, um, so these guys they all get on to Carmelo. Austin takes it upon himself to go and actually move him out of there. The defense they're telling you he had epilepsy for a reason. So I'm also predicting that they're going to have the argument that he was frail and weak. He had epilepsy. He's sitting in court shaking. He probably couldn't stand a punch or drop him on the head. He probably, couldn't have went very far without being a detriment to himself because we know the epilepsy is a very serious. They mentioned he has seizures. So you know how it goes. When people have seizures, they can't really have hits of any kind. Also, it was mentioning about a punch. And so time was spent with some of the witnesses trying to make a determination. Was it a grabbing? Was it a punch? Because the defense attorney, they basically insinuated that perhaps Austin had punched him. So this is some of the things that have been floating in court. Okay, so Carmelo, when he came down on Carmelo to grab him up, it appears that Carmelo turned this knife, pulled it out, and turned it up. And the boy came, they collided. And this is where I'm going to really explain something to you. In the video, it shows you the timeline that I was just telling you about. Carmelo goes over to the tent. You really can't make out anything that's really happening in the tent, but you get a chance to see that this is Austin. And you can see he's taking the first moves. And I mean, he's moving like a freight train. He goes all the way over to Carmelo Anthony. It's in the video. And then they come back. It's almost like you're dancing with someone and you pull them, you're just swinging. That's how it happened. That's what we saw. And then on top of that, Eddie said that when this happened, he said this the day or so after it happened, he said that he was knocked out the way. That's how much force that Austin had, but these kids are coming in saying, yeah, he just touched him on the shoulder like that right there. Boop. Right? That's what they are all trying to say, right? But the video tells you something quite different. So that's why I say if things don't go the way that you perceive, you'll start to understand why that's the case. So after it happened, now let's go back to the opening arguments from the prosecution. They painted this picture of Carmelo Anthony that he ran away, he tried to find an exit, that he went somewhere and threw the knife to get away. Okay. So right from the beginning, this is what we heard from the prosecution. So you know what happens, right? When you watch the videos, you're looking for those actions to line up. Come to find out, the boy basically threw the knife down and ran away. The defense says he ran onto the field, not out the exit. He could have ran out, tried to get away, right? A really nice coach came because a lot of kids were running after Carmelo, and they identified Carmelo as the person who did it. This coach by the name of Tiffany said, she said, hold it right. She didn't say it this way, but more like, hold it right there, buddy. And she put up her hand. Now they have a really big coach. I mean, he's humongous guy, big black guy, bald head guy. Looked like he wouldn't hurt a fly, but he's a really nice guy. I think he was about 6'4", 200, no, 6'2". He's about 240 pounds. I remember that. So she says, take him. He's the one that did it. Someone was stabbed. And he says he has a hard time processing this whole situation, right? He has a hard time realizing what's happening, but he takes Carmelo by with his shoulder. He grabs his shoulder. And you know what he said? Someone else talked to him for a minute. He walked away from Carmelo. Carmelo didn't try to run, right? So this coach said he was talking to Carmelo and he says, you're going to ruin your entire life now for the rest of your life for what you've done to this young man. Because he did say he stabbed him. And Carmelo says, oh, he's not going to die. So he wasn't expecting that this young man by the name of Austin that lost his life so sadly, he wasn't expecting him to die. He thought he just poked him, right? And then when he realized that the guy could potentially die, he broke down and started crying. The coach kind of broke all this down. Okay. So that's when everybody in the audience or many people were like, wait a minute, this is a little different than these. I've heard people tell me this is different than the opening arguments where they painted that he was, trying to get out of the arena. So I don't want to get into this whole situation. Hold on one second. I don't want to get into this whole situation about Sean Diddy Combs, but I covered his case for 9 weeks. I was in the main courtroom. You guys know all about it, right? Because the prosecutors went in too heavy on Sean Combs and they tried to build him up to be this Rico, racketeering, John Gotti mob boss, the Godfathers, the jury threw it all out. Had they came in, because I sat in the case of Sean Combs, had they charged him separately for the drugs, domestic violence, the financial part, whatever it was, if they had just charged him for what he did, that guy would be gone for a long time. But because they trumped it up a bit, He walked because the jury says he did some things, but he didn't do that. And so in this particular case, they're charging this young man with first degree murder. Some people get offended because I even call him a young man. Well, sorry to you, but I don't have time to telegraph everything I'm saying. I'm giving you the general synopsis of what, could have happened. Okay. So let's just be clear about that. So because they're charging him with first degree murder, instead of hitting him with manslaughter, I think that's going to pose a problem for the prosecution in landing what they really want. Now, we have to factor in the fact that this is Texas. So tonight, when I do the show with criminal defense attorney Calvin Johnson, we're going to get into the nitty gritty about, hey, Calvin, what does this mean in this particular state? And how do you think this is going to play out? Okay. All right. So that coach, they ended up getting him over to the police, and pretty much he's arrested, and you guys see the video. I think they released some of the video at the time of him being arrested. Okay. Now, I went through a lot today, so much so that I'm partially um, need some good water probably. But I wanted you guys to understand a lot of things that have come out in court. Now, what do I think in regards to this case? I think it's very clear cut. You can't take a knife to a school event. Everybody's gone to school. They have children in school. Their parents went to school. Imagine if a kid punched you in the head and you return every time with a knife. Man, half the kids in school are going to be laid out. You get my drift, right? But I wanted to break this down today. The reason why I actually went to the court, because I want you to understand when things have the potential in this country to go all the way left, and when people are trying to demonize all black men for what happened and what Carmelo Anthony did, I want you guys to understand that even in the realms of the court system, people come in and tell lies all day long. I saw it with Sean Diddy Combs. I saw it with Donald Trump's trial. Lie after lie, the defense comes up and proves that people are not being honest. And so today I've given you the opportunity from my reference point to understand different things that happen in regards to this case, and that it's not as clear as a lot of people who like to go around calling names, and they come into your chat and just so absurd. It's just not that simple. But we're going to keep following this case. I definitely will be on top of it. I think it's only going to last maybe 3 more days. The judge says he doesn't want it to go past the 12th. I don't even think it's going that far. Remember, in the case of Sean Diddy Combs, the prosecution rested their case, right? So that's what happened on Saturday. The prosecution rested their case. But in Sean Combs' case, when the defense got up, they didn't even put on a defense. They rested their case immediately. So this case is subject to go down to be done with in the next day or two, because keep in mind the defense tried to dismiss the case because they felt like the prosecution have not met their burden of proof, okay, for this crime. That's the same position that Sean Combs' attorneys took, okay? So it just gives you an idea of how that was a little reminiscent in that regard. There's a reason why they're taking this all the way to trial. And I feel like the defense, definitely from what I've seen and heard, there's just so many moving parts that I feel like something is coming down the pipeline. And again, before I start bringing people on, I want to make it very clear. My position on it is that from the jump, you shouldn't have a knife in that type of environment. But things happen, and that's what we've seen in this particular case. And even on top of that, it's hard to navigate through all the stories that are being told. Even so much so, the prosecution said that the witnesses are not telling the same stories. And guess what? Everybody had to sit through that. In fact, before I bring on the guest, I'm going to tell you about the young lady. I actually feel bad for her because she looked like she has a promising future. But on April the 2nd, when all of this happened, she claimed that she saw it. On the 7th, her and her mother went down to the courthouse and they told the officers basically she saw what happened, and so she claimed that one of her friends was about to engage in some activity at the track meet, and she's over at the adjacent tent with Liberty. She looks over, and these two guys are arguing, and they're arguing about, oh, I'm going to beat you at the race, and oh no, I'm going to beat you. You know how banter, how guys go back and forth. Turns out to be that all of that was made up. And it came out in court, so much so that the defense attorney had her admit, so you made that up, basically? So that's not true? I mean, he didn't really say it that way to where basically you're lying, but he framed it in a way where she could still keep her dignity, right? So when your witnesses go to the left like that, it starts to put all your witnesses in question. And when Eddie, who turns out to probably, to me, have been the best witness overall, because I could tell that he seemed to be very honest in regards to some factors. See, what happens is, and I started off talking about this. This is the key point from what I'm saying today. Whenever you have a civil, and we'll talk about it with criminal defense attorney Calvin Johnson. Whenever you have a case, the attorneys always bring you in a week or two before you actually take the stand because they want to refresh your memory, so to speak, right? They want you to say what you had originally said in regards to this case. And so, in this particular case, especially when it came to the young lady, you get a whole different scenario. And you would think that the attorneys would have prepared her in a better way than to let her come on the stand and fall apart like that. That was a defining moment for me in the case because a lot of people, I think more than all, they felt bad for her because I think from what I've seen, whenever you have an event, forget about this case, people always want to say they were there. Oh yeah, I was there. I was driving the cab. I saw it too. Everybody wants to get a little shine from the case. But it causes a problem for those in the jury to where they have to now decipher who's really telling the truth. And for some of the individuals that I saw, and I felt like they were not being honest, I see the mainstream media running with their stories. And so they drum it up. And now you're hearing all of this commotion about something that didn't really happen that way. There's no clear indication of what's lies and what's the truth. And that's why it gets to be so dangerous. And that's why it's important in this case that they're able to come to a reasonable conclusion about what happened. You know, I'll end my part of this with telling you one story, and then I'm going to bring up Genesis and Denise. If you would like to come on the show, feel free to hit the link. I'm going to start going through some of the comments to see what people are saying. Okay. In the case of Luigi Mangione, right? I went to his state hearings and I also went to his federal hearings. You guys who follow the channel, you guys know I cover all these cases, right? They brought in all of these police officers, and it was some 13 or 14 officers that when they found Luigi Mangione in Pennsylvania, that they all came just to be in the limelight. That's the picture that's been painted already. Okay. So keep that in mind. So now I saw all of these officers take the stand, and guess what? Some of them were caught in lies. It becomes very obvious, people, you wouldn't imagine that that would be the case, but this is life and this is reality, right? But you know what's scary about this? When they ask these officers, pretty much all but one, the captain, they said, "Where did you learn about this case about Luigi Mangione?" You know what I thought? I thought they were going to say, "Oh man, I saw him at the bulletin board, or I saw, on a blotter, heard a blot, something like that." You know what they said? "Oh, we saw it on Fox News." All of them back to back. "Oh, I saw his picture on Fox. I saw his picture on Fox." They're the leading way for a lot of the news of people. So imagine now, I started off telling you the story where I saw the anchor say, because remember, the defense is saying that in the state, according to the law, that any blade that's under 5.5 inches is legal. Then they show that he had a blade that was 3.5 inches. But then you have an anchor on the biggest network, right, saying it's 5 inches. It carries more weight, but it's not what came out in court. So I use that one example to tell you a lot of things that we're hearing, even from the most reputable places, sometimes you can't really take it 100%, but people do. And they willing to die behind what they're getting from. And let me break this down. The anchor you see on television is not in the courtroom, and they're relying on a producer to go in, or they have all these people that write things down or whatever. It comes to them, they have to process it, then tell it to you. And now you're getting misinformation. You're willing to go out here and do something vile to somebody else based on something you're hearing that's not accurate. So all I would like to say is, when it comes to these cases, I'm really big on trying to be accurate. And I think it's very important. And that's why on my own dime, I go out and I cover these cases. Okay. You don't see me pleading for money or asking for anything. I do my walk. I do my little dance. I go out there wherever it's going to be. I was just out for Nancy Guthrie. When this is over, I'll be headed on to the next case. Okay. But I want you guys to be able to understand that I'm trying to bring you some accuracy. There's nothing in it for me to make up a bizarre story to go viral, um, to get more clicks. I could care less about that, really. But what's amazing is last night, I saw various people in my chat, and they were like, "Hey, Mel." I think Becca was in my chat, and I see Deborah, I see Stella, I see all the people that are saying, "Man, you're so. We appreciate what you do. That's good for me." Because I know people are actually following, and they get my drift, and they understand that I'm trying to bring you guys some legitimate information so that you can look at all these different sources. You see all the craziness on TikTok, and then you see the mainstream media, and then you could come through and feel like you are close to what could have happened in court. So I'm going to start bringing on a guest. I want to thank you guys for staying around and listening to what I broke down. Tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, I'll have the criminal defense attorney from the area who's on this show every week, Sunday night. He's going to be on to really break this down, and hopefully I'll have my voice back by then. I've been talking way too much now. Let me bring on our guests, and we're going to get to this a little bit further. Okay, we have DJ Genesis, and we also have Denise. Welcome to the show. Nice to have you, Denise. I'm in your neck of the woods. Nice to see you. Thank you for
Hey
always.
Mel.
Yes, how are you?
Hey, how's it going? Hey, Mel.
All right. So if anybody else want to come on, all you have to do is hit the link, and I'll be glad to answer your questions or share some type of dialogue. Genesis, you came up first, so I want to hear you out.
So, what I heard was that
You're
during
you're you're hold on one second. You're extremely loud, so if you could just tune it down a little bit.
okay, let me turn my mic down. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Can you hear me? Is it still loud right here?
You sound marvelous.
All right. So, what I heard was that at some point, when they were cross-examining the cop, right, the police that was there, that had the body cam, that it looked like he was just on some. I mean, maybe, possibly, like that when the defense began to cross-examine the police, because I was watching another channel, and it was almost like the police was not trying to give him anything, as far as like, it was clear that whatever question that the I think that the police the it even got to the point where do you I mean, can you, I mean, he had to like almost go into like a basic answer of a question, and then finally he's like, yeah, well, I guess people can have knives, or it could be possible that, do you did you see it like that, like that the police were kind of like being evasive in the cross examination?
No, I didn't really focus on that. That probably could have happened or what have you, but I didn't. I wouldn't have focused on something like that.
Okay, and then one other question is that when you talk about like the friend, you're saying that did you talk about the fact that Anthony was not exactly underneath the bleachers but almost to the side kind of and
Yeah, that's a
not.
good point. I'm glad you brought that up. That's the reason why I like to bring people up. So I didn't get a chance to talk about that, so let's get to it. It came out. Now, one of the things that we've heard about the case is that Carmelo went under the tent because of the rain, but it comes to find out that they were actually sitting on the back row that was not completely under the tent. So they were still being rained on. They were still being bombarded by the elements. And so that kills the narrative that this was all about rain. It was more, as the defense started off saying that he went to talk to a friend. And the defense has done a great job showing that he was a friend or a great associate indeed.
So also on another channel it was making it seem like the friend tried to pretend like he was never Carmelo Anthony's friend, that he didn't even know him. Is that true? Like, did he like pretend like he didn't even know Carmelo
Well,
Anthony?
yeah, I kind of broke it all down, but he basically said, "Look, listen, I kind of know the guy. You know, I know him, I adapt him, but not like to the extent that they showed us." So he committed to a narrative that was much lesser than reality. And you would imagine, because the key point that the defense made is that at some point, when Carmelo came up and was sitting down talking with him, at least about the weather, as one of the kids had testified, right? That you would imagine if they're saying, "Well, who's this guy?" and they're going crazy, get him out of here. You would imagine that this friend who he's been in his home playing video games with, they're playing the guitar, they're going out, double dating, and all of this stuff. He knows his grandmother, that he would have piped up and said, the defense says, he would have piped up and said, "Hey, this is my good buddy here. Leave him alone. He's cool, guys, right? This is my cousin's ex boyfriend. We're cool." And they would have probably backed away. But instead, he pulls out his camera. And according to his own words that I heard in court, he was fake recording. And I don't think many people believe it was fake recording. And that's why I said the defense might have a video that might knock your socks off. So just stay tuned. I don't know for sure, but they were insinuating that there were other witnesses there. You know, when you have your phone on, your recording, people are very antsy. So they look for that red light on your phone. He claimed that his phone was off. Listen to me.
Why would he have his phone off?
Hold on, wait. This is a key witness. He's claiming to have his phone turned off and he's fake recording. Who's really going to buy that scenario, that scenario? Okay? But the defense says, "Hey, did you know that we'll just say Noel and Rebecca saw you recording?" But they left it at that when he said no. So that lets me know, like, oh, there's something coming down the pipeline, but they're not going to tell you yet.
So I have two more questions. I'm gonna leave it.
Okay, and that'll be it. Okay,
All
cool.
right, two more questions. Okay, so did you look at the jury at any point? And what was your opinion of the jury? Did you see that they were mean mugging, looking a certain way toward the defense as they were asking questions, like they were mean mugging them, frustrating as they were like doing that?
Well, that's a very relative question because I've seen them cry, I've seen them laugh, I've seen them look with concern. You have roughly 18 people, and many of these people are from different walks of life. See, when I came down, I was under the impression, because everybody says, "Oh, they removed all the black people." Remember in Diddy's trial, that was a sincere strategy, and everybody went crazy. Because, in fact, one of the jurors that was of darker complexion, they removed him way into the trial because they say he lied on the questionnaire. And he was a correctional officer who you would imagine he has a lot of jurisdiction over other men's life and he gets to write reports and then he comes to court and he lies. But in this particular case, when I got there, because I heard people say this is an all white jury, I said, man, I got to check this out. I go in there and it's predominantly foreign people. And so you don't really get, I mean, there's enough. See, a lot of people don't understand that see, in Diddy's trial, they cleared the whole back row was the alternate jurors. So you have 12 main jurors, eight, yeah, six of them are alternates.
Wow.
So like on the first day of this trial, one of the guys, he said, "Can I be excused?" Right in the middle, people like, "What's going on?" Now, for me, I thought he was saying, "I'm out of here," because I've seen some strange things at these trials. But sorry, but maybe he had to go use the bathroom or something. I don't know because he came back. But let's say he didn't come back, right? Because at Diddy's trial, one of the ladies had to have some medical procedure or something. She never came back. Okay, had he not came back, one of the alternate jurors would have taken his place, and the trial goes on because they've all heard all the details. And in many cases, they don't even know if they're alternate or primary. The judge in this particular case, Judge Roach, did say they did not have to sit in any particular seat. So that kind of lends to the fact that they don't really know who they are. They probably don't know what they are. They just know they have to listen to this case. Now, I just want to say, because you have Middle Eastern people, Asian people, and you have whites, and probably some few and in between, you don't have blacks per se. It's going to be very hard to make an argument when this comes down because there's such a mixture and there's so many women. But when they say, now this is at a higher level, when they say you get to have your peers, this guy don't have any peers. These people are older in life, mostly women. And all of the guys that are white are probably up in years. You might have one guy in his 20s, maybe, I don't know. But it's definitely not his peers, okay? So he's going to be judged. But again, because a lot of us are out here lollygagging and not taking life seriously, we're not trying to get into politics. When you go to the courthouse and you look at those paintings of those judges over the last 200 years, you'd be hard pressed to find a black one. I'm just telling you what it is. This is the reality. This is the reality of life. And if you don't sit in these in very important seats, you're always going to be left behind. And you won't have any seat at the table to make any changes for the future. And even now, with this administration, some of these projects, 2020, for all these things, some of these things are really happening. When you see when you see things happening, the effects are going to be for years to come, but people are not really stepping up to do better. Anyway, I won't get into that. Let's just stay focused on this. I'm sorry about that.
So this is a different question outside of the actual inside the courthouse. How much of what's going on outside of the courthouse is really affecting what's going on inside? You have all this vitriol, like kind of like do you see like a whole, like people are saying there's hundreds of people outside, protesting, and
The
is this
most
a lie? Because I think it is.
it's on my video. I've documented it on my live from Thursday. You could go see. You probably have 20 blacks. Then you had one single white guy sitting across from them, and then you have a few white guys with some flags that are agitators. But again, when I cover Luigi Mangione, a lot of these people get $300 a day to go represent some
Mm.
nonprofit organization. They don't care about no um, Carmelo Anthony. They don't care
Mhm.
about Diddy. They don't care about Luigi. They're there to get that $300 because they have
Right.
to pay a bill. When a person go and buy a shovel, they're trying to get a hole, right?
Mm.
They're trying to make a hole. You have to realize what people's end game is. A lot of it all boils down to money, and that's why you see people on TikTok and all these places. They'll say anything to go viral,
Mm.
whether it's true or
Fame.
not, because they just want to get more scruples and shekels in their pockets. That's what it
Mm.
boils down to. So I will say this though, and maybe I'll get myself in a little trouble, but trouble comes easy. In Sean Combs' case, they did not sequester the jury. I find it hard to believe that people that don't go home and watch my channel, the news, uh, TikToks, right? And so when you talk about the people outside, imagine you're sitting in court, you're on a jury. This jury has not been sequestered. The judge says, you better not go home in the private while you're in your bathroom on the commode and look at these videos. Do you think people really follow that? You don't have to answer, but I'm just saying people are actually probably researching. They want to see, they want to know what's happening outside. All of that outside business affects people on the inside, whether you like it or not. But I'll keep it at that because,
Please make me into a mod, please, Mel.
okay, all right. Let me see how I can do it. Give me 1 second. Denise, are you
Hey,
done?
Mel.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
Great, good to see you.
Good to see you. I'm kind of confused. Are you back in New York? I saw your video from the car last night, but I
Yeah,
thought you were
just
meeting with Calvin and you're out and about down here.
we're gonna meet during the week, but I'm flashing right back. So yeah, I'll be right
Are
back
you
at the
coming
courthouse.
back?
Of course.
Oh, good deal. Good,
Yep,
good,
yep,
good.
yep. Just had to take a break from it.
I hear you.
You
I
know,
hear you.
every day getting up early, sitting in court
Yeah,
all day. You can't even. They don't even have a cafeteria in the courthouse. You can't even get a
yeah,
meal. You can't get coffee. It,
yeah,
it, it gets to
They
be
don't
out of
have a
control.
cafeteria in the courthouse.
No, they have vending machines. You know, in New York, we have hot meals. You know, you get spoiled that way. When you go on break, you could just go to the second floor
yeah.
or the third floor and get a good meal. But you can't do that here. And by the time, and usually this judge only gives you 45 minutes, so you can't really go. The nearest exit, you would have to go order your food, eat. It's just impossible. So
Wow.
that's just
Well,
that's the nature of how it goes.
you know, the courthouse in downtown Dallas, it's been there forever. They've got a cafeteria kind of sitting area and whatever, but in Frisco, McKinney, it's more suburban and you know, they're not that way out there.
It's the biggest. This is the biggest thing that probably ever hit their scene.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't
It
even have
probably
that
is.
big of a court thing to go on. It's mainly traffic tickets out there. So
Yeah, just like the Nancy Guthrie case, it's probably the biggest thing in Tucson.
Right, right, right. Okay, good. You guys have any more questions? Is there anybody else that would like to come up and
No,
ask
I
ask any
wanna I
questions?
wanna talk to you about something. Oh, by the way, JLR is coming tonight.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll see him out
He'll
there
be there
then.
tomorrow. You know, I Texas is big racist state. I don't care if you know that or not, or if you don't see it that way, but behind the scenes, it really is. I know that this case, Carmelo case, is it's a really big case, and everybody wants to portray it as black against white, a racial case, right? But
Hmm.
bottom line, Mel, I agree with you. Bottom line, um, I don't care if it's okay to be a 5-inch knife or a 3.5 or 3.2 or whatever. The kids should know that no knives are allowed, as you say, on school or school event. Uh, turf. So, bottom line, it's going to come down to not black against white or whatever the racial aspect of it. It's going to come down to the knife shouldn't have been brought in there. You know, that's I think is a significant factor coming down that it was not allowed and he brought it in and it not I don't care what the dimensions of that knife is, it's still classified as a knife and it shouldn't have been on those track meet grounds. That's what I'm saying.
That's
um
the first point of contention.
yep, that's what I'm going by, that that's just a pure point that it should not be allowed. And he shouldn't have, well it would, well, it's they're not allowed because of things like this that could happen. Unfortunately, they make that rule for things like this that could or could not happen. In this case, this is why, in this case, it happened, and this is why they make that rule. That's just bottom line to me.
Right. But here's the thing, too. And this is why I wanted to get out as much information that I observed in court, is because what'll happen is they'll say, well, the knife wasn't illegal, but it was prohibited, right?
Right?
But then they say it was self defense because he had 3 or 4 guys coming at his head.
Well, he
And
shouldn't
so
have the knife anyway.
hold on, hold on. But what I'm saying is, in these cases, it's kind of like this case of this guy. What's his name? Chow. The boy went into the store. He took 4 waters. He put
Hmm.
them back. He got outside. He didn't take anything. They came after him. He started running. They shoot him down. Right. I didn't cover that case, but you would think, oh, that's slam dunk. He should be locked up, right? And then they let him go free. What I'm saying is, a jury, you never know how they're going to go. And your belief system is not everybody else's.
Yeah, I know.
And so people, when they hear the outcome, because they don't hear a person like myself telling them the ins and outs of what's happening,
Right.
they just listen to one source that they love, and that source leads them to a place that's not true.
Hmm.
Let me give you a prime example, and then I'll shut it down. In the case of Sean Combs, I mean, everybody thought he was cooked. I mean, I'm talking about the RICO, like he's a mob boss, right?
Hmm.
And if you go back in time and you look at the big mainstream media, right? They were saying, "Oh yeah, he is terrible," and they told you all this stuff, and you thought people were just betting that Diddy was out of here, right?
Hmm.
The jury came back. You know what the first thing they said in 2 hours?
What's
There was a,
that?
there was a guy on the jury. He was 52 years old, seemed to be a white guy, and he says, and I tell you color so you can get a feel of, I
Yeah, I
think it
got you.
helps you to find it. He says he could not follow the judge's instructions. And you know why he couldn't follow the judge's instructions?
Mm.
Is because one of the elements of the RICO was drug, what do they call it? Distribution. Okay.
Oh.
So here's the thing. According to the federal government, especially when they're trying to put that RICO on you, right?
Yeah.
Or an individual, the rule is a lot of people knew about a movie called Friday where the guys, people always say puff, puff, and pass, right?
Hmm.
According to the federal government, if you puff and I pass to DJ Genesis, right? I'm
Hmm.
guilty now of drug distribution
Oh.
because I handed her a drug, right?
Oh.
Right? I didn't sell it to her. I handed her a drug. So you know what the jury came back a little bit later and said?
Mm.
What if Genesis wanted the drug? Is it still drug distribution? The court says yes. So that
Mm.
scientist could not dig it, and I felt like he was instrumental. I don't know for sure, but that was very instrumental in getting Diddy's major charges thrown out. So you'll look at this case like a lot of people that come in the chat just popping off and say he had a knife, he stabbed a guy in the heart. In court, he stabbed him in the abdomen. I'm just telling you technicalities,
Yeah.
but it doesn't change a lot, right? I'm just telling you. I'm telling you the court perspective. Wouldn't you want that if
Yeah.
somebody's inside if you go to the game, they may say, "Oh, Michael Jordan did the moonwalk," and you say, "Oh, Michael Jordan did." You mean Michael Jackson? No, Michael Jordan. So now you're getting some inside information. You'll come to a different or a better conclusion,
Right.
hopefully.
Right.
Okay, so in this particular case, you might look at it and say it's point blank period. He can't take a knife into the school into this environment. But then the defense come out and show you a video that these guys, and I'm not saying this is the case, I'm speaking hypothetically,
Yeah, I hear.
that they were just acting like a gang and was going to rough him up and he didn't have time to stand up and get out. Now you change your perspective because you said, man, they just were going to bully him up. People might change their mind. So what I'm saying is, just because you feel a way you think it's simple, I've seen juries go just like what happened with
Yeah.
Mr. Child. They let him go free. And now the people outside and the mother, oh man, they want blood because they couldn't get him in court. I mean, I'm not
And
saying that's the case there, but I'm saying this is the type of environment we see.
yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
hear.
Go ahead.
I have one more point. if you had adults as witnesses that changed their story or let's say lie about their stories that they're on the stand to witness from, they've got to think that these are going to be kids that are going to, you know, be a witness. So the kids, especially from a year ago, they're either favoring one guy or another guy, and there's or not remembering everything fully, or making stuff up like that girl did. So I'm sure they expected that in the long run. I don't know if those kids really thought they'd get caught lying or whatever, or their stories didn't jive, but those are kids, you know?
That's just life.
Yeah,
It
that's
happens.
just
It
life.
happens. It happens everywhere. It just happens. I'm just giving you some idea of what's happening here. But
Well, I know
again,
you've got other callers, but I'm going to take my stand. I'm going down to the legal line of the knife shouldn't have been allowed in that stadium for things like this to happen. Unfortunately, it did happen. That's my legal stand on it. I'm not even seeing it as a racial deal, and picking the juries, both lawyers were smart on going to pick the international group of majority jurors, because that way it's not going to be a black or a white favor ruling. You know what I mean? This way they had a fair medium of making a fair ruling on this, on the sentence to come up being international and not one race or the other. That's how I look at it. I don't know.
okay, I can
Anyway,
respect.
when you coming back to Dallas tonight?
Yeah, and so I'll just say this, um, because you have to be realistic.
Yeah,
When you look at the case at its basic level, it's going to be hard to get around bringing a knife to school. I mean, I know murder is probably way
yeah, and they're kids too.
it's
Yeah,
way worse than bringing a knife to school, but that's going to be the hump in this particular case, and you have to move with intelligence. But I'm just saying, I never really try to predict how the case is going to go, because sometimes you feel like a case is going to go one way because it looks
yeah.
so clean cut, and it goes the opposite way. So that's all.
And but still he was a kid in high school, and I don't know, I can't believe that. Well, he's still a quote kid. He's not a young man. And I guess anger or whatever, or the fear of these other kids trying to come get you because of their stature against your smaller stature, I guess it does put a little fear on him.
So check this out. Let me give it to you this way too. Some of the guys that were asking Carmelo to leave, they were black. So at that moment, I don't think it was about race or what have you. Could have
Yeah,
been. Could have been. I don't know. I wasn't there, right? But when people say it's not about race, then I get it. And that's debatable probably by many, but it's about race now. And if you don't believe that, go outside of the building and you'll see people and what they think, and you'll come to probably a balanced view of what's happening in this case.
yeah, I know. And if he does get a guilty verdict, that Frisco McKinney, it's gonna be off the chain, because they're gonna be people in that town. There's no telling what's gonna happen. That's a supposed to be a more affluent suburban town to Dallas, you know. But the people from Dallas are gonna go up there if he gets a guilty verdict.
Right. So let me give it to you
I
this
don't really
way.
think it's gonna
Hold
go
on.
like that. I'm sorry.
Let me give it to you this way, right? Let's put it in perspective. He had a knife in a backpack, right?
hmm
I've been to places and I've had a multi tool, and I'm like, oh man, I got to go put this back in the car. You know,
Yeah, I heard about
I
that in the car last night.
just forget about it, right? It might be the airport or whatever. Things just
hmm
happen. You know, one day you're working on your house, the next day you're on YouTube. You know,
Yeah,
in the airport, right? Okay, I'm going to tell you this. I grew up in Virginia. If a black guy stab any white guy, that's history for you.
yeah.
And I felt like especially going back to my earlier days, you'd be up the creek. It wouldn't be
Yeah.
a. I think my grandmother say they throw the book at you.
Hmm.
In New York, it probably wouldn't go that way because
Hmm.
it's a different environment. Let me give it to you this way: I'm in New York all the time. I ride the subway. I'm in the street. Sometimes I'm walking down a street I've never walked before at 2 o'clock in the morning, leaving an event. And when you see some of the characters out on the street, you would pray for a knife
Yeah.
because that might be the only way you're going to get home.
Yeah.
Because some of these people are just atrocious individuals, right? Now, I'm not trying to, pipe up for Carmelo, but what I'm saying is I don't know the environment that he had to go through every day to get home.
True.
At 5'7", epilepsy, you know, and 130 pounds, if he's walking by the ghetto boys at night
Hmm.
or whatever, he might need something to get past them. You see what I'm saying?
But
So that
he
Yeah.
that could
he
have been
lived. Hold
that
on.
could have been his mentality. I don't know. You see what I'm saying?
I showed on my channel that he went to a Frisco high school. I
Oh, he
showed his high
did.
school. Yes, he went to Centennial.
Okay. Oh,
Centennial
yeah, that's right.
is a huge, beautiful, I mean, tennis court, a beautiful high school. So
Oh,
this is
yeah.
not, he didn't go to high school in Oak Cliff. He went to a very nice high school. I mean, I think that his high school was probably equal to the high school that they were having the track meet at. But here's the thing. I believe that the fact that the mother, I mean, here's my question to Mel. The mother crying. When you heard every time something happened, the mother breaking down, did that like kind of pull at like people's heartstrings? Even the jury, did you see the jury react every time they would show something and a mom got to
Well,
crying?
I can't say every time, but I can say that that has a big effect when anyone in the courtroom starts crying, and especially if it's happening all day. People are going to look to see who's crying, why they're crying, and then if you're crying a lot and they hear something very sad, they're going to expect it and just look your way. And so we're starting to see that in many cases where people are
Do,
looking because they're expecting to see someone or hear someone crying about, the things that are happening. I
they're
mean, they
almost
played a
they're almost like every time something happens, they look to the mom to see if she's gonna bust out crying or what's going on.
well, I mean, that's just court in general. Whenever you have murder case, especially where tensions, emotions are high, it's going to be that way. It's so amazing. It's a tough case. I don't really like covering these murder cases because you never, even with Diddy, it was a tough case. People are never going to be satisfied because you're always going to have people on both sides of the
Mhm.
aisle. So even if I say, hey, listen, you don't know which way the jury is going to go, I'm saying that from my experience because I go to court and I think I have something figured out. It's not a basketball game, right? This is a serious matter. And for some reason, I mean, you need 12 people to agree that he committed first degree murder, right? For some reason, you might get two or three people that don't agree or one. So that's why I'm saying you have to kind of factor in a lot of different elements when it comes to these cases. And it may not be what you're expecting, but even still, you can't go out and take it out on other people. And that's what we're starting to see
Yeah.
outside of the courthouse. So it's a simple message, but you're always going to get people that, for whatever reason, they're going to just,
Yeah. Not, yeah.
take that
And
position.
What
Mel,
what
I agree with, I'm sorry, Genesis. Um, I was going to say, yeah, I agree with your statement that, I grew up in North Oak Cliff, Oak Cliff. I went to high school in Oak Cliff, Carter High School. And in Oak Cliff, you always have to watch your ground and stand your ground, per se. But I can see your point, Mel, that maybe we don't know what is activities are outside the school system on his free time. Maybe because of his small stature, he had to carry something in his pocket to, like you said, defend himself if he got bullied again. So maybe I'll give it to him. Maybe he forgot he had that in his pants going to the track meet. Who knows?
well, he's not from Frisco, he's from Baton Rouge. In Baton
Oh, he's
Rouge,
from Baton
Louisiana.
Rouge. Okay.
Yeah, they moved there like about what,
Okay.
3 to 5 years ago. And
Okay.
so who knows what's going on in Baton
Yeah.
Rouge? You go to Baton Rouge to Frisco, big
Yeah.
difference.
Genesis, are you in Dallas?
Yeah, yeah, I'm in
Oh,
Dallas.
cool. Okay. Hi there. Okay. Well, Mel,
What
I
one
just
of
wanted to give you my 2 cents and let you know JLR is coming tonight. He should be there tomorrow. You might want to, text him or something. But I think he's leaving Tucson tonight and driving here. So,
okay, very good, thank you.
hey, I'll be watching your lives. Nice to meet you,
And
Genesis.
also
Nice to
what
meet you,
Uh huh.
sweetheart.
and so another thing to keep in mind is that most of the kids they testified that they was not expecting for Carmelo to be truthful when he talked about, if you do this, and he was reaching into his bag because they're like, this is Frisco. He would never bring a knife
Right.
to a track meet. So they were not evidently the place. I surmise that it's a pretty, laid back, not a violent place.
No,
But it,
it's more.
but
It's pretty affluent. It's a new community. Everybody's straight laced out there. I mean, everybody got out of the hood per se to move north to Frisco, McKinney, and up there. So that's you can't go south. You'll end up in the ocean. So the only way you can go is north, and it's supposed to be a very suburbial. You know,
Well, yeah, Frisco is I would say I don't even know where what part of like the like Yonker. What part of New York would I would consider Frisco to be? Like the rich part of New York. Like which part?
yeah,
We're gonna say
Westchester
Westchester,
County, because that's where I'm from.
Rochester. I would say Frisco is like a Rochester.
No,
Like
Westchester.
right? But here's the thing. I'm gonna leave on this note. If we don't have any more people coming up, we'll be back on at 7.
Okay.
Um, I'll say this, right? All of these cases have an effect on the next one. In the legal world, Calvin has explained it, and also Candace Kelly, who's on the show, she's a law
Mhm.
professor. Each case sets a precedence for the next. So that's why I like with R. Kelly, they quoted R. Kelly's case when they were trying to find a case to secure Diddy's fate. Okay. So let's say, for instance, he walks on this particular case, right? Just like this case with the guy with Chow. Somebody comes into the store, you think they stole something, they really didn't. Maybe they started to steal something, they changed their mind. Now you can go out and shoot the guy. What does that say for future situations? You know? So in this particular case, everybody is up in arms. A lot of it has to do because of the group think. But I don't think anyone wants to say it's okay to bring a knife to a school. And now
Yeah.
you send your child to school. I mean, listen, a lot of people are barely surviving.
Hmm.
And the last thing you want to worry about is your kid at school while
Hmm.
you're trying to pay the bills and live your life, right?
Hmm.
So, would you want anyone, whether they're black, white, or Jew or Gentile, to stab your kid at school?
Nope.
Because they were aggressive. I mean, at what point? What's the defining point? When you start thinking about it that way, people sober up a bit, and they start to realize that sometimes at the basic element, that's going to be a real problem. And I'm just telling you like it is. You can't. If you have rules, there's a reason for it. And
Yep.
you wouldn't dare take a gun to the airport. You know what's going to happen to you. You know what I mean? So
you know what? The airport, yeah, hell no.
that's
Yeah.
it's no different. You know what I'm saying? Calvin's going to break all this down tonight, but I wanted to give you all of those other elements so you get a chance to see, because I get irritated when I see some of these guys sitting around and they have a big platform on national TV and they're just sitting there just popping off. They wasn't in court and they just saying stuff and pushing their agenda. So at any rate,
Well,
I hope that somehow some of this information has in some way or another help you to come to.
I'm glad that I was brought up being taught rules and being taught how to go by rules. Respect rules. They're rules because of a reason. But nowadays, in this generation or this time, you have a lot of younger parents that had kids, and they're not like the old school ways as all of us here have been brought up. But I don't know.
I,
I just
I don't think it's about rules. I think that he grew up with a very good family. His family was very well to do. His mother and father were in the household. It was actually the other way around for the other family. And what really boiled down to, I believe, is a situation of, maybe not understanding how severe
oh
stab
yeah.
stabbing somebody could be. You
Yeah. Yeah.
people in Texas have guns. Okay,
Yeah.
let's talk about the culture in Texas. The culture in Texas is I got my pistol on me.
Yes, the
People don't
Wild
even
Wild
understand
West.
how serious a knife could be because it's like, well,
Yeah.
I didn't shoot him, I just stabbed him, right? And
Yeah.
that's what I think that what really would happen is that he didn't think that the stab probably could be as serious as a shot.
Yeah, that's why he went back and asked if he was going to die or not. It
Exactly.
probably hit him in the face.
I
Hit
think
him.
listen, I think that there should be just as much of a concealed weapons class for knives and other things just as much as guns. I think
That's
that
a good idea.
when we talk about a gun, there's also like you have to have a concealed carry law license to go through a class on this,
Right.
but you don't have the same thing with knives. So maybe this will open up the conversation that knives are just as lethal as a gun, and maybe people need to be taught about, like, listen, this just because this is like a little 3-inch knife, you can still kill somebody with it.
That's right.
Right.
And that's what I believe. That's really what.
So also too, and I don't want to go left with this, but the reason why I'm standing up and talking about this because this conversation goes different in a black home than a white
Yes, it
or
does.
Spanish or whatever you want to call
Uh huh.
Hispanic. I would say sorry about that, but anyway, it goes a lot differently. Okay, and these are real subject matters. A lot has to do with how you think, how you raised, right?
Yeah.
But there's a mother that I was just speaking to that her son was hanged from a tree. I bet he wish he had a
Oh,
knife. You know what I'm saying? This is a person that wants to come on the channel and talk about the situation. So, at that point, the family members are sitting around, sure wish he had a weapon to protect himself. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
life is very complicated, and I'm here for it. And I know some people don't. Some people can get the message. They don't just sit around and just. I get irritated sometimes. You guys have to pardon me when I say people say he had a knife. He stabbed him in the heart. Kill him. That mentality. And we're sitting here trying to have a discussion, and you have this person constantly saying that. It gets to be outrageous because we need to have great dialogue, and also we need to help the kids coming forward saying, "Listen, what do you do in this type of situation?" Because some of these guys are aggressive. And if they're bigger than you and maybe you can run faster, they may want to test your manhood. These are real conversations we need
Yeah.
to have, and they're not being, a lot of things are not being said. And sometimes a kid will be 19 before you even had a chance
Yeah.
to tell them about the birds and the bees. That's just how
Yeah.
life goes, right? Anyway, let's
Yeah.
let Classy go. And,
hi.
and, and
Thanks for adding me on. I've been following
Yeah.
you
Me
since the
too.
Diddy trial. However, this is my thing. I'm seeing a lot of people, they're picking out parts of the story. And we have to realize in the story, there's the beginning, there's the middle, there's the end. And it's a lot of what ifs. The thing is, to me, if Carmelo and Austin was somewhat in the wrong. Why? Because Carmelo had no business with the knife, and two, Austin had no business putting hands on Carmelo, and that's just simple. And the reason why I think that it was so important for a person of color to be on a jury is because in the black household, we're
Yeah.
taught if a person put their we're taught keep your hands to yourself, and if somebody put their hands on you, you have a right to defend yourself. And if there's two, I'm 100 pounds bigger than my daughter. And just yesterday, so happily, me and my daughter was at the store, and my daughter she's about 4 foot something. She's 100 pounds soaking wet. I'm literally 100 pounds larger than my daughter. And I was looking at her and I'm like, if two of me come pile up on my daughter, what would I expect for my daughter to do? out of fear. My daughter sitting down and probably scared because these are two bigger people. What, as a parent, what should I expect for my child to do? And I just feel like instead of people keep saying, "Oh, Carmelo was wrong because he had a knife," they would have never known he had a knife had they not even approached him to begin with.
That's true too.
And
They
They,
and,
would
they,
he-
they
and
wouldn't have never known. Like you have to teach your kids too. You can't bully people. You if someone say, "Okay, I'm not moving," that's not your job to try and physically remove them. The job was to go get the coaches. And my question is, where was all these coaches and adults for this to even happen? Like nobody was around to
okay,
see these kids even getting into an altercation.
There's supposed to
hello.
have been a coach in each chat. Isn't that
Apparently
correct,
it
Mel?
wasn't.
No,
I'm
they were
sorry. Hold
eating
on one
food
second,
and all
guys.
type of stuff.
Hold on one second. I'm sorry to interrupt you guys. Okay, but I've been going for quite some time. So Genesis, can you just lead the show for a few minutes? I'll be back
I'm
and
out
maybe.
too, Mel.
Okay,
Right. So yeah, I
can you
got you.
guys just cover me for a minute? Thank you.
From what I understand is that like the one coach he had to go get like a baton. The other coach was actually helping someone with a potluck, like they were getting the food and everything for like the track meet. So
Mhm.
they kind of stepped away for a second.
Because now
Oh.
I'm feeling like, okay, if this boy was
Huh.
sitting under the tent to get from under this
I don't
rain.
know, but I think you're right,
Wait,
Genesis.
hold on. She was talking first. Did let her talk after that.
No, I'm saying if he was sitting under the tent, I'm sorry, because of the rain, like who are you to think that in your head it's even okay to say get from under this tent? Why didn't you go get a coach or an adult? Like I just don't understand.
Oh,
Like
I didn't know that.
apparently this
Okay.
is behavior that have has happened more than once. Like this is not your first time thinking that
So
it's okay to come up to someone and just tell them, "Oh,
so
you got to get
let me
from."
break down the psychology that was going on here. So from what I heard, based on another person that was there watching the trial, so there was a whole text stream that happened between the coach and Austin.
Right. I
Austin was
heard
actually
that.
initially not supposed to be there. He
Mm-hmm.
had gotten kicked off the team because he was not showing up for the practice
Right.
and
Oh.
showing up
And
for the
that
track.
morning
I
of
think the track meet before that he had missed it because him and his brother went fishing.
went fishing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mhm.
then what happened is that so the Austin was like, well, please don't kick me off, whatever. The coach said, okay, well, listen, you work this track meet. I just need you to be the leader.
A leader. Right.
So this is where it could get kind of weird. Is that so? This guy is feeling like he's the leader. So when a person
Um,
comes over into the tent, he and the coaches are gone. Guess who is in charge? Him and his
oh.
brother. That was
Oh.
told not to. Told they were getting kicked off. Now
But were
him
you
and his
told to be
brother
a
are in
leader?
charge. Well, no,
But were
they're in
you
Oh.
charge. They're in charge now. So because it's junior varsity, this is a
right?
junior
Mm.
varsity track meet. So the varsity people were actually I think the brother had a shot putting event to do later on in the day, but
Mhm.
they were still like, okay, listen, you guys, watch the thing. I'm gonna take care of this. Go take care of that. So there was two coaches that had to go off, and one
Yeah.
person had to deliver a baton for the relay race. The
Yeah.
Right.
other one had to go get like some help the person with some food. So that they stepped away for probably like maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and that's when all this ensued when they were
Oh,
hurt.
Right.
so
I
that's
get
their heads went up to the ceiling because they were in charge.
right. I get that part, but the part I
I
get
mean,
that
that gave him a
now.
little bit of authority, is what I'm
Now,
saying.
now, now, this is the thing with that. I get that part. I get if it was just a random person just came and sat under the tent. But this is what we found out yesterday. He wasn't just a random person. He was actually under the tent, mingling with other kids.
Well,
So
he
it
wasn't
wasn't
under the tent. He was on the outside of the
well
tent.
on the outside because some of them said he was on the outside, and then some
Yeah,
of them
but
said he
if
was
they
under
got
the tent.
the coach gave them that authority, it kind of
Right,
went to their heads per se to watch
right.
the tent. I'm the
But what
boss,
but what I'm saying too,
and you
it's
don't
not
belong
sounding
here or something.
right.
So
But
that
what I'm
could be a
saying now,
thing. Could be
it's
or Go
it's
ahead.
not sounding it's not sounding
Oh, I
now.
meant
It's
on the
not being that
psychological
stuff is
side
coming
of it.
out. It's
The
not
coach
sounding
gave him
like
the authority to be watch over the 10, and when Carmelo went in there, it kind of the authority kind of went to his head to say, I'm the boss and you don't belong in this tent, you know?
right.
And
What
that's
what
when
I'm
it all
saying
broke out.
right. What I'm saying is I can see the scenario of nobody under the tent knowing him. Carmelo just randomly came up under the tent and they're saying, okay, you need to get out. It changed for me once I realized and once we found out, hey, he was actually called under this tent. One of the boys called him. He was sitting down conversating with one of the boys. That's when it changed for me. I was thinking the whole time he just randomly just went and sat up under that tent.
Mm.
So when I found out that he was actually called under there, that's what changed the dynamic for
Well,
me
he wasn't
because
called underneath. He was not called under the tent. He recognized someone in the tent that
Yeah.
he knew, and that was a close friend of his family. And so he, hey, then he goes over, and they both kind of ended up at the tent at the same time. The Austin Metcalf and his cousin, I mean
but
his brother, they both kind of actually Austin Metcalf and his brother ended up first at the tent. Then Carmelo Anthony came over there to see his friend, and of course, like these two were actually commissioned by the
but
coach.
being
Coach.
being a
Can I
leader,
get in? Can
being
I
a
get in for
leader
one
does
second?
not. Mm-hmm.
Let me just get in for one quick second.
Okay.
So, guys, I've been in court every day for Carmelo Anthony, and I'm just here with some of the guests. We've been through the entire case pretty much with a lot of details of
Mm-hmm.
how this is trouble on both sides of the fence, and
I
unfortunately,
agree.
the young man lost his life. So that's what we're doing. I'll be back in court to discuss this even more. So for those of you that have just come in, that's what we're doing now. We're going to be back on tonight at 7 p.m. too. We're going to continue streaming, but we'll be back on tonight with criminal defense attorney Calvin Johnson to talk about this. He's a local um, defense attorney for 25 years down in Dallas, Texas, and he has a very unique perspective. So make sure you come back tonight at 7. We're going to open it back up if you want to ask the attorney some questions too. You guys will feel free. All I ask, right, because I cover these cases, I covered Trump, and I pretty much cover all things Trump. All right, I cover Diddy, I cover most of the high profile. I'm about to cover Harvey Weinstein, Luigi Mangione. I covered this guy here, Carmelo Anthony. But the least you could do is hit the like button, share, and subscribe, and check out the material when you can. That's all we ask for. And classy, let's get back to it. And also, when you guys are done with your discussion, I want to talk about what Remedy says, 9501. So we're going to get to that. Remedy, if you want to come up, feel free. JC Talks Trials, you covered Diddy with me. You should be on the panel, but I understand if you can't come up. So anyway, classy, let's go. Yeah, all you
Okay.
have to do if you want to drop off,
Mm-hmm.
Anderson, you could just hit the exit, the red
Bye,
button.
y'all. I'm out. Y'all
Bye.
Thank,
have a good one.
thank
I'll
you.
see you in
Bye bye.
Dallas,
You too.
Mel.
Yes.
Bye
Okay.
bye.
Thank you for the support. Thank you.
You
Okay.
welcome. Bye.
So back to what I was saying. To me, that changed it. Honestly, I feel like both of them were somewhat in the room. I still feel like Austin somewhat caused his, he was a part of his own death because if someone, where I'm from, first of all, where I'm from, me saying touch me and find out after I'm already having a verbal altercation with you, and if I say okay, touch me and find out, and you come up to me and you actually touch me, that to me that was a warning. That was a warning from me telling you don't touch me, don't come by me. And if you come by me, and if you have enough balls to come by me, not only touch me but try and pull me up, I'm gonna defend myself. And honestly, I don't even think that he intentionally tried to kill him. I think he maybe pulled that knife out and just tried to stab him just to get him off of him, but I don't think that was done with intent. I don't think it was done with intent at all. But I still don't feel like okay by the coach telling him I need you to step up and be a leader. I don't think the coach meant for him to okay, if somebody come in his tent, you tell them to get up. If they decide not to get up, you try and push them out the tent. That's not what leadership is.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much for that. I just
You're
want to touch
welcome.
on this point that Remedy had brought up in regards to him being a leader. And I don't know what happened to that comment now. I should have started, but so many things are happening. So basically, if I could find the, here we go. No, that's not the one. But Remedy, if you could just repost what you said, maybe this is it. No, let's see. So anyway, there's this whole deal about the coach telling Austin he should be a leader. So the prosecutors are trying to use that to say that's the reason why he took control of the tent. But there's more to the story. I just want to give you guys the background. Remedy brought it up, and thanks to you, Remedy, I hope you lock in with this channel. You're more than welcome to come on the panel now, but I get it. Not everybody can come up, at the drop of a hat. It takes a lot to do this, right? I get it. If you can't, but if you can, then great. So here's the thing that happened. Austin evidently was having some issues and he wasn't following through. So the coach removed them from the team. He fired them basically, right? Something to that effect. And then he told them, I need you guys to be leaders or to step up. So it wasn't necessarily about that day. It's just that he felt like he came on the stand, he talked about it. He basically felt like, when young guys,
Mm-hmm.
they might be falling off and you tell your kid, listen, no more phone. And then you feel sorry you took the phone from them.
And you give it
And,
back.
and now you start saying, oh, okay, you need to be, when you're going to college, you know how it goes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you
So it
step
wasn't
it
like,
up. Be a better person, not necessarily.
right, right.
I
But
I
the
feel
process,
like too.
Okay, I didn't know that. I thought it was like
They're
step it up
they're
for me.
keeping they're keeping a lot of things. It's a lot of stuff that is not being told. It's a lot of missing pieces to the puzzle. A lot of it. Like the boy who came up who lied and say he wasn't friends with Carmelo. I feel like he had a lot to do with what went on. He instigated a lot of this. He knows more than what I feel like. I also feel like it's possible that he actually recorded. You wasn't holding up a phone and you didn't record that fight or whatever. So it's a lot of stuff that's not being told.
right, right. I get it. I get it. Carolina, please come back soon. We appreciate having you here. I understand your position though, but definitely come back and tap in with us when you can. Okay, very good. Let's listen now. And I can't see the name anymore. Let's see. Oh, James Holland. James, talk to us.
Hey, how do you do? Thank you for having me up on the panel.
Yes,
Um,
indeed.
I just want to I just want to express my sentiments to the fact that I believe Carmelo is innocent because regardless to the fact that he had a knife inside of his book bag, and not talking strapped to his belt or in his hand, we're talking about inside of his book bag. That's a determining factor that he did not come there to inflict any harm on anybody because he would have had it more available. And you can't be mad at or disagree with someone who's defending themselves against a larger threat or a larger opponent, somebody who he had no idea was going to try to attack him. Because if you push somebody, school kids or not, you're attacking someone. And you shouldn't, and you have no right to just walk up and attack people, and particularly if you are bigger and stronger than them.
Right.
Regardless to what the coach, if the coach told him that he was in charge, the coach did not say, "You're security. Here's this badge. Anybody who comes over here, you kick them out." That's not what's been testified to. If he told him to be in charge of the tent, okay, I don't know what that means, but what it does mean, what it doesn't mean is that you have the right to put your hands on someone. Now, if the coach could be partly at fault for not stipulating what in charge means, but common sense should tell anyone that you have no right to be pushing and shoving and bossing anybody else around. If there was an issue with him being under the tent, he should have waited if there were no adults around. because he wasn't planning on going to be on a told to move. So if he said no, he ain't going nowhere. You got time to go find some adult rather than you taking it upon yourself to be the bleacher sheriff. So once you put your hands on someone, you have no they have a right to respond to whatever threat that's coming their way. And you can't tell someone how to respond if they feel their life is in jeopardy by a bigger person. Because I know right now, and thank y'all for listening, if someone as big as Shaq comes to me and just wants to fight and push on me, okay, even though I'm a man and I have fought people before, this is somebody who I might not have any wins with because of the size differential and their athletic ability. But I just don't want them to do anything that they want to me, so I'm going to try to even the odds, me personally. If you that big and you don't have enough sense to pick on somebody your own size, then I'm going to do whatever it takes to defend myself against you, because I do not want you around me. I don't want you touching me. There ain't no police around that I can call, or none of this stuff.
My exact
So I have to
thoughts.
defend myself.
I
There
have a
ain't no
question,
police. There
to
ain't no
Mel.
adult.
Mel, I have a question for you. Here's my question. Um, when it comes down to this whole situation, like, okay, all right, I just had the question. I just lost I lost it.
Okay, so let's go to JC Talks real quick and see what she has to say, and then we'll come back to you.
Hi, Mel. How are you?
Hey, good
Good.
friend.
It's
How are
good
you?
to see you. I'm so glad to see you down there covering that trial. So glad. It's good to have someone there that we know is going to be honest with us about what's actually going on in the actual courtroom. Um, I was able to actually spend some time with you at the Diddy trial, and it was a huge difference in what was actually going on in the courtroom, from what was going on outside of the courtroom and what was actually being shown on TV. So it was good to see someone there that we know is being honest with us. But the question I have is, when it comes to them charging him with just first degree murder and not having any other charges, to me, when I think of first degree, we got to have premeditation, correct? And I don't know how they're going to be able to come back with a guilty with premeditation with someone that not go there with the intent to hurt someone, and them actually telling him to leave and actually, being the ones that were the aggressors. How do you think that's going to come across when it comes to the jurors?
And that actually gets to the question I was going to ask you: is can they actually switch it up to manslaughter, even though it's a murder charge? Can they switch it up and say, you know what, this is not a manslaughter? I mean, first degree. It's going to be manslaughter, and then still try him on, or do that? Can the jury do that? Or
So what I would say to that is we're about to start the show at 7 o'clock tonight with the criminal defense attorney right in the backyard of the courthouse. So leave that question for him tonight, because you could get the expert instead of someone trying to guess about it.
Okay.
So definitely come back on the show tonight. We're going to open up the panel. We're going to go probably 2 or 3 hours. So you'll get your shot tonight to get those legal questions answered. Okay, guys.
Okay.
As far as
Awesome.
that goes, that's what I would say. But as far as the premeditation that you're talking about, JC, um, I think it might be a lot of people are debating about that. But again, there's a reason why they put it on the table, because they felt like they could make it stick. And again, I keep trying to say New York is different than Texas and Virginia and California. So apparently there's enough there for them to feel like they could possibly get it to stick. Right. So that's why I think Calvin should be the one to address that, because he'll give us
Mhm.
the real deal insight. We have the
I think
professional coming on.
I think a lot of times when they charge as well, they don't add the manslaughter and they don't add the second degree because they don't want to give the jury the option. They really don't want to give them the ability to to come back with a guilty charge at a lower charge. I do wonder sometimes when they make those decisions, do they take the family's feelings at heart? Because I know if I was Austin's parent, if I knew there was any chance that they might not come back with first degree, I would rather have the option of having a second degree or manslaughter on the table so my child could get some type of um justice. I mean, if that's, if I was their parent. Now, that doesn't mean that I believe that it happened the way, but what I'm saying is that as a parent, I think I would rather have more charges on the table versus locking that jury into just first degree and then it come back with, because as a juror, to me, you have to find guilt of first degree with intent. Like, I would not be able to be on that jury even if I thought it was manslaughter. I would not be able to come back with a guilty on first degree because I felt bad for that parent. I just wouldn't be able to do it.
Right. So let me put it to you this way. In regards to this particular case, and sorry I got sidetracked, we have to cut back on some of the people that are just spamming in the chat. So I just ask if you guys could just be respectful and take this really serious. It's not a place to just spam. But as far as the intent go, that's why I keep pushing my message to JC, because we saw what happened with Diddy trial, right?
Yep.
And because they overcharged him in a way, the jury didn't buy it. They lost everything except those 2 charges where the jury said, we'll give him something probably, right? But for the most part, because he wasn't accurately charged, in my opinion, that's the reason why they ended up with, if they didn't have those other 2 charges, it would have been 0, right? So it's risky, and that's why I'm saying you have to prepare yourself, because the jury could come back and say not first degree murder, whereas manslaughter would have stuck better. But anyway, we have so many people trying to get in, so I just wanted to have Scam Chan to come forth and tell us what you have to say.
Well, I'm looking at it from this point of view. If he knew that there was some trouble with these guys before he even got there, why not just avoid them? And then the other part is, if you're bringing this knife for what purpose would you even have to bring a knife around anyone? You looking for trouble? And if the trouble does happen to come up, you still have the option to leave. You don't have to engage with a knife.
He didn't know them, honey. That was a mistake. That's a lie that was told by the media.
Was he still speaking?
He had no idea who those people were.
Whatever, yeah.
Okay, I need everybody to just mute up because we're getting like a lot of noise
if
in the background.
you're speaking, I can see that I'm in the show, but I can't hear you guys.
Okay, so I'm not sure what the issue is. Go out and come back in. Okay, go close out and come back in. Let's have the gentleman keep speaking and elaborate on what you were saying.
Well, I was thinking that if there's the bottom line is there's a reason he had a knife anyway, whether he knew he had it or not. He had access to it and used it. So I'm looking at it like, do you just happen to carry a knife where you shouldn't carry one, expecting nothing to happen, or are you looking forward to something happening? Like, say for instance, if the knife happened to be a gun, it's like your whole attitude towards what's going on around you is an excuse to use the gun. So in this case, he happened to have the knife, and whether things got heated or not, it was a slight push, or they was bullying on him. It was one-on-one.
Well, if anyone can hear me, I would say that this young gentleman is going to be convicted not based on the evidence at hand, but because of the jury on that bench. And most of the racist white supremacists on juries don't empathize nor sympathize with a non-white black defendant. So self-defense for him doesn't matter the same way as self-defense matters to a white person.
Okay. Well, a very important explanation. I understand where you're going with
I
that. Would
can't hear
anybody?
anything. Can anybody hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? So I guess we're having some technical issue. You can't hear me at all? Okay, so maybe you. Well, if you can't hear me, it's just all right. So,
So, but I have a
who would like to
question.
respond to that?
I would say this is that I get it. Self defense is not the same for
I mean,
white versus,
I would have to agree with the
but
brother.
I would say
Peace to the
also,
panel,
can
peace
you
to
guys hear
everybody,
me?
peace to the host. I would
The
have to
new people
agree. I
cannot
mean,
hear
Ho-
us on the
Hold
panel.
on, I can hear you, Genesis. I can hear you quite well. So I'm
I'm
not
here.
sure what.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you too. So I'm not sure what the issue is for some other than others. But anyway, Genesis, say your piece, and then I'm going to address the brother that's trying to speak on code.
Okay, because I was gonna say, well, I'll let you answer that question. My question is that were there any other kids in the tent that had video cameras? My thing is that in the age of video, nobody else had a video camera, or did like the prosecution collect everybody's video and just say like, don't say that you had a video? Because I'm like, this sounds really strange that the only video proof is this far away video camera from far away. Where is the people like kids in the thing that had video cameras? I mean, did
Good
you
point.
see anything like that? Like why is there no other video?
Well, that's something we really can't speak on because in court we've only heard about Eddie. Now, under the defense, that might be one of the things that they have coming down the pipeline. They may have several videos. We don't know for sure. So right now, that's just a hypothetical. So we'll just have to wait and see on that one. I'm gonna go back to on code, and I want to see if we can hear you now. So on code, try to speak up.
okay, how about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. So say your piece.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just going to say, clearly what we can see here, man, I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible. But I mean, it's kind of hard to when we know that there's always been a two-tier justice system in this country. And there's a couple things going on here. We have court, the one that's going on and the one that actually matters where he's going to be sentenced. But we also have what's called the court of public opinion, which is what's going on right now and what we're doing and what everyone else is doing because as we know, the judge has, basically sealed off everything. There's no electronics, no camera. We don't get any footage. So we're basically going off everyone's word and everyone's opinion. And it seems like a narrative is being spun, and that's what's kind of pissing me off. They're leaving out that he was a 3.7 GPA student. He held two jobs. This young man had no criminal record. He came from a two-parent household. And the narrative that's being spun here through, I've seen it on Court TV and a couple other news outlets, is really what's pissing me off. How they're using his mugshot pictures and they're just really trying to paint him as a monster. And in the court of public opinion, he's looking bad because we don't have enough black media reporting on this as the other side does. And it's just a narrative being spun.
Okay, so let me explain that to you, right? So typically in these cases, I'm pretty sure you're probably familiar. The prosecution goes first, and they're gonna try to bury the guy. They're gonna find every little bad thing to say. They're definitely not gonna say anything good about him. So the defense just started at the end of the day on Saturday yesterday. So now you're gonna start to hear all the good stuff about him. But again, I explained when it comes to mainstream media, they're not going to tap into all of that. And right now, mainstream media is definitely going to reign supreme. And unfortunately, it's going to be more negative in the light of any defendant, unfortunately, and especially Carmelo Anthony, if you get my drift. So look forward to at least just we're talking about technicalities of the case. And you can come back tonight at 7 and talk with criminal defense attorney Calvin. But now you're going to start to see the defense, talking about Carmelo, and they're going to try to tell you the great things about him. So that's just how that goes.
Yeah, and
I want
I hate not to cut you off, and I kind of see these buzzwords that they're throwing out. And even there was another case in Texas, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, where a young white man mowed and plowed down, I think, four people, and they used an affluent disease defense, and it actually worked, and it got him off. And now they're throwing out this word gouting or goading or whatever it's called, and they're using these buzzwords. And these kind of seems like these people are just making stuff up as the game goes along and throwing out these buzzwords to try to get people hooked and as a way to get him off. I don't know if you're familiar with that affluent disease that they used a few years back, also in the state of Texas.
Right. And I just want to say we have a lot of amazing people coming through, well spoken. Guys, definitely tap in with the channel,
The
like, share,
term they used
subscribe.
was affluenza.
Affluenza. It's called affluenza.
Okay, thank you very much. So take a moment, hit the like button, share, subscribe. Make sure all of you guys come back tonight at 7 p.m. I'm having on criminal defense attorney Calvin Johnson. We have a show every week on Sunday at 7 p.m. where he takes the cases that I actually go to and he puts it under the magnifying glass of the law. And so you'll get a chance to come on, talk to him, have your questions answered. I'd like to ask that everyone be respectful. I see a lot of people are spamming in the comments. It shows a lack of respect. I get that people are not going to agree with everything because we cover some tough cases. And, there's always going to be both sides of a story. Not everyone's going to be happy. But if you guys can take a moment and tap in, I just want to say thank you very much. I think we have up next a mother that I interviewed and I have her on. Remedy, she's coming up. I want you to just speak briefly about Karmelo, but then also tell us about your son. And then we're going to have Linwood come up. But before I do that, I just want to make sure that, let's see, Harden is okay. Did you want to add anything further? James Harlem? Okay, maybe you're not there for right now. Okay, so Remedy, go right ahead.
I'm here. I'll wait to her.
Okay.
I think the sound went out. I could hear you at first.
I can hear you.
Can
I'm
you hear
sorry to
me?
interrupt.
Yes,
I think
go
the
ahead.
term that they used was affluenza.
Okay, we copy that. Thank you very much.
Can
Appreciate that. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. Tell us about it. We can hear you.
Mhm.
Okay, so Remedy, go right ahead.
I don't know if she can hear you.
Okay, so I'm not sure if you guys can.
I can hear you. Go ahead.
It's a
Remedy, go
delay.
ahead.
It's a delay, Bell. It's a delay.
I think the sound.
I do want
Okay,
to
you guys
respond
can
to the
hear me.
gentleman
I
who
got the clear
said
that you can
there's
hear
not a
me.
lot of
I can't hear
black.
you, but
There's
you
not
can
enough
hear me,
black
so I'm gonna
press
still go
covering it
ahead and speak.
because I
Um,
think black people
in
are already
Hold on.
kind
regards
of sick of
to
writing on the
Hold
Carmelo
on.
wall once it's an
Anthony,
all-white jury.
I feel
Uh,
like the
Mute L.
baby
Mute L.
is definitely not guilty of first degree murder. He had no knowledge of, well, of course, they probably knew each other from around, but he did not go to that meet with murder on his mind. He didn't go to that meet with intent to stab and kill someone. He was um, called under the tent. Is it?
Okay, so we're gonna have to bring her back on. We're having so much technical difficulties. So Linwood, go right ahead. Toward the end, I'm going to clear everybody out and bring Remedy on. So Remedy, sit tight. Linwood, go right ahead. Linwood, are you there?
James Harlem is still here, just in case.
I think
Okay.
it's like a delay going on with certain people.
All right, James Harden, you can go right ahead.
Yes, again, and once again, thank you both for this broadcast. It's very important. I think this case is going to be precedent setting as far as will our children be allowed to defend themselves against white people who are aggressive and want to impose their will upon them. Everything points to the fact that Carmelo is innocent and he was just defending himself. How he defended himself might be questionable, but who can say how they will defend themselves against someone who's that much larger than them? You can't say you don't fear for your life because that would be a foolish thing to say. And if the knife was in his book bag, that means he had to go inside his book bag to get it, but he gave a warning saying, if you do anything to me again, it's going to be an issue. So that means that he did not intend it for anything to happen to Metcalf. He just wanted him to leave him alone. But Mr. Metcalf did not heed his warning. He wanted to exercise his will, whatever that was. And that's just not how we're supposed to be. This is not how we're supposed to act um, as citizens. And because he broke that social contract, he paid the ultimate price with his life. But he had all the opportunities to leave him alone. That's it.
Okay.
Here's a question: if someone, if you have a knife in your bag and someone is so called bullying you, and you say, "Well, watch if you well see what happens," and you reach in your bag and stab them, that's no longer that means that you anticipating them doing something to you,
I
and
can't hear the
then
host.
I'm not
yeah,
saying anything. Just sit tight.
I'm the
Okay.
one talking. So this is where it's going to get really tricky. Okay, with this whole case. Okay, now if he would have never said nothing, like didn't say nothing, and just did it, one story. But if he says, "Well, listen, if you come at me, you know what I'm saying?" Then that means that he reached in his bag. He knew he had the knife in there, and then he gave him a warning. Said, "If you come to do this XYZ, uh, guess what's gonna go down, or whatever, or watch out, or whatever it was." So there is where in those whatever the real words he said is where the premeditation could lie, because if
But that's
he
not
had his hand in
premeditation.
the bag, well, no
He
premeditation.
warned them. It's like a
No,
police
there's
saying,
no
stop or I'll shoot.
a warning is premeditation though. Warning
No,
somebody
no,
is
no. A
no.
warning.
If I like
That's.
warn you of something,
I
listen.
understand what you're saying.
If I
I
tell
understand what
you,
you're saying.
I'm listen. If you come and if you touch me, I'm gonna do something. But I don't. You don't know what it is, right? And from what I heard is that Austin Metcalf says, "Man, we're in Frisco. Ain't no, you ain't gonna do nothing." And so I'm not sure. Was that true that he said we're in Frisco. We're not fixing to do nothing.
That was
Or so,
testified. That was testified in court.
right. So if he said, so he's not expecting that this guy has a knife in his bag. So he's like, yeah, man, you ain't gonna do nothing. Push, right?
Okay,
Boom,
okay, but he
stab.
wasn't expecting
So
him to
if
do anything, Genesis.
so
He wasn't, Anthony wasn't expecting him to do anything.
hold on, listen. So it's a thing. So there was a word that was said, hey, touch me and see what happens, or whatever he might have really said. I'm not sure what the real words were. It's so many different words going out that he so called said. But then Austin said to him, "Man, we in Frisco. Ain't nothing gonna go down, man. Whatever." He's not
So
expecting because we're in Frisco.
hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second.
Okay, okay.
The
All
the
right.
best the best testimony so far is that came from Eddie when he testified the day after this happened. He said that Austin told Carmelo Anthony, who remained sitting down, he says, "I'm going to remove your bitch ass out of here." And Carmelo Anthony says, "Okay, move my bitch ass in." So that there's your answer. Go ahead.
So it wasn't like I'm about to do this. So it was I'm gonna make I'm a, so it was never like you see what happens. It's I'm gonna move your bitch ass out of here, and then he says, "Well, move me out of here." Then it was never see what happens. So see what happens never came out in the whole case, Mel. Never.
Even if he said that, Genesis, he's giving
But hold
him
on,
fair
no,
warning. Something's
no,
going to
see
happen
what?
to
No,
you
listen,
because you're
See,
messing with me.
no, stop it. If
Hold
you
on,
Even
see,
if he said that.
hold on, guys. We gotta clear this out. So I'm gonna answer your question, then I'm gonna let the brother go, because so we could just stay clear for the audience sake. Okay. Remedy. Before we do that, I want to address you. Close every device that you have around you, and make sure that on your browser, make sure that you're current. So refresh your browser, and that'll put you into live time with me. It's like you're lagging, so do that, and then I'm going to bring you up so we can get this done. All right. Thank you, and it's nice to have you. I want everybody to hear your story. So that's that. So let's let James Harlem state his claim.
And do me a favor, Mill. I mean, I love you so much. Could you please remove AI Hal out of the just take him out because I'm tired of it. He keeps
Okay.
doing stuff.
He's from your side, I believe, right?
No, he's on your side, but he's from that's the Van Hawk household, Reverend whatever. He does this. He says that every time I say
Yeah,
something.
that's what I'm saying. I think he's from your side. Okay. So anyway, all right, I'll take care of that. But go ahead, let him let the brother James Harden. I want to hear him out. Go ahead with your refute her claim. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying, even if he said, if you touch me again, you're gonna find out. He's giving, and while he's handing in his bag. So Metcalf had the option to leave him alone, just like he had the option to leave him alone before anything started. He had the option to not see what's going to happen if I continue to assault this person. He continued to assault him. So it's on him now. It's not on Anthony. Anthony gave him fair warning. Leave me alone, big dude. While he's sitting down, if that's the accurate testimony, he had no intention on hurting this dude. But Metcalf wanted to hurt him in one way or the other, even if it was a push or anything. He had no reason to make contact with him. He should have went and got some faculty members, the coach. He should have waited. There was no immediate rush for him to leave out the tent in the rain and do whatever. No, he was exercising too much authority, and he did not have any authority. So
Okay,
he
so
got
J-
because he brought it on himself.
James Harlan, I'm going to ask of you to come back. I mean, I'm not telling you to leave now, but I want to hear this question put before Calvin, the criminal defense attorney, tonight at 7 p.m. Because I would really like to
Yes, sir.
know. I mean, you're bringing up a great point, but I really need to see you back here in class teaching again. And I like I like that point. So definitely come back because I won't remember because I'm on the road. But if you could address Calvin, that'll be great. All right. So thank you. We're gonna move over. I'm gonna see if we at this time can hear Linwood real quick and see if he's there now. We're gonna make another attempt.
And James
Yes,
is
sir.
from my side, by the way. Bill, you say that the other guy from my side. James from
Yes,
my
sir.
side.
Okay, great.
Yes, sir. Good evening to you. Um, to be honest with you, non-white black males do not have the constitutional right to defend themselves and be actually treated under the law as standing their ground. Um, this is pretty much going to be an open shut case, not because of the evidence, not because Mr. Anthony was defending himself, which clearly he was, but because white this is a white supremacist country where white people are given the liberty and the constitutional right to defend themselves and be credible in self-defense, as otherwise non-white people doing the exact same thing or exercising the exact same thing are not given the same liberty or treated as criminal or treated as misfits, even when they have two parents in the home, even when they are, university bound students, academic or athletic or otherwise. Um, and studies have been well pointed out. Studies from law professors and law schools have indicated this, that white jurors do not empathize with black or non-white defendants. So, I mean, the best thing I can say at this moment about Mr. Anthony is that one or two things needs to happen here. Either they already need to go on an appeal automatically and stop this pussyfooting around with the race card and just call it what it really is. Because if Mr. Anthony was a white person and the Metcalfs were non-white persons, I think you'll find a different result here. But I'm kind of getting sick and tired of the legal thing, because it goes back to the movie A Time to Kill. We sitting up there constantly arguing about points of order and points of law. These white people don't care about no laws. They don't care about statutes. Hell, they broke them. They can break them anytime they get ready. And it's about time that black people start breaking the same laws, because bottom line is, who's enforcing them?
Okay, thank you very much for your expression, Linwood. I hope you come back later at 7 and tap in with us, and also I hope you guys all subscribe to the channel, and it's nice to
Much
have you guys
appreciated.
around. Yeah.
Much
Also,
appreciated,
Genesis.
sir.
Yes, Genesis. Can you state your information real quick?
So my channel is at DJ Genesis Detroit. Let me put it in the well, you know what? It's on my page, but you can like put it.
Put it in the chat, and I'll put it on the screen. How about that?
But if I'll be there, oh sorry, don't do that one. Sorry, my bad. What I'll do is that if I'm here later on, I'll co-stream it again, same way I did just now. So, but this is my page.
All right, very good. So she's gonna post her page. I'm gonna put it on the wall. Okay, Remedy, go ahead and state your claim.
All right, you guys, I can hear you now. You guys can hear me. I
Yes.
was saying that for Karmelo, I definitely feel like he's not guilty of premeditated or first degree murder. That baby went to that track meet he was competing. I want to point out that Austin and his brother, they may not have been suspended from school, but they were definitely suspended off of the track team. They want to make a point and say that the tent didn't belong to Karmelo, so he had no right to be there. Well, technically, if they're not no longer a part of the team, the track team, it didn't belong to them either. I do understand that the coach asked them to step up and help. Maybe he wanted them to make a good impression, or what do I want to say? Uh, um, I don't know, make up for what they had previously done. They made a bad outlook for themselves, so he wanted them to regain, I guess, the confidence or whatever in their coach or their teammates. When he asked them to be leaders or step up, he didn't say, "I'm gonna appoint you security. You're going to be the bouncer." He didn't say, well, here's your badge and you're in charge of anything that goes on. If something goes on, you have all rights to do this. And that's not what he said. What they need to ask is, coach, even though you asked him to step up and be a leader, in what context did you mean that? He probably meant stay around, encourage your teammates. If they feel like they're losing, if they feel like things are not going in our way, this is where you step in and pat them on the back. You encourage them to keep going, not give up. You tell them, hey, we're not on the team, but we're still fighting. You fight too. In that manner, I don't believe that the coach meant you put your hands on someone and physically remove them if there is a problem. And then I want to point this out too. These are seniors that we are speaking about. Mm-hmm. You go through school, they teach you context clues, hand in the bag, or don't touch me, leave me alone. You go through reading comprehension where you understand that no means no. No means no, or whatever it is you understand. He's not hearing impaired. He did not have a disability. You heard him say no the first time. You heard him say no the second time. You heard him say no the fifth, the sixth, the seventh time. What you're doing, Austin, is you're harassing. That is a form of harassment. Even though you're saying that child didn't belong there, you are now harassing him because you're continuously asking him something he's telling you no. Okay? Even though you heard him say this several times, you decided, well, if you're not going to move, I'm going to move you myself. That's against the law. You cannot put your hand, you did not have the authority or the right to put your hands on this child. Furthermore, how was Karmelo to even know that the coach asked Austin to stand up? In his eyes, in his view, listen, this is a 17-year-old kid. Kids stand up against other kids all the time. We're parents. When our children try to tell the other one what to do, they say, "You're not the boss of me. You don't tell me what to do." I teach my kids, if the other one does something, don't you dare put your hands on. You come tell, I'm mama. I'm big dog. You come tell me. That's what should have happened. Austin should have never put his hands on Karmelo. Even if he wouldn't move, you heard him say several times. And then some people say, well, Karmelo was asked 15 times to move. Why did you feel like he had to listen to him? I don't care how many times he asked him. You heard him say no 14 times ago. What was the law that said he had to listen to him? But you decided to put your hands on him and move, and nobody is saying that the child deserved to lose his life. sometimes we pay the price for the things that we do. Now, speaking back to what the other person said too, they wouldn't have known that he had that knife in his bag if they hadn't approached him. That's true. Listen, I'm an adult. I one time took a weapon into the IRS building because I forgot that it was in my purse. Okay. This is my first time going to the building, and the man had to tell me. He said, "Baby, come here, listen to me, cause listen, no, I was confused. I was like, what did I do? What did I do? It was in my purse. I forgot it was there. But I'm saying mistakes happen, and it's not like it was a house weapon, like any of you said. It was a simple tool that can be, picked up in the store or bought in the store. Um, they say that Carmelo had ample time to walk away if he felt like he was being threatened. Well, when Austin asked him 3 times or 4 times or 5 times or 7 times or 10 times, and he kept saying no, he too had the option to walk away and go get the coach or whoever he needed to get this child removed out of the tent if he felt like that they were all in danger in some type of way, or he shouldn't have been there. Their belongings were in danger. We have an imposter here. He shouldn't be here, and he needs to be removed. We don't want him here. There is protocol for that. Also, I want to speak on the coaches. If you are trying to run an event and you are short staffed, you don't have the security, you don't have the manpower, they have protocol for you to, not for you to designate a student to be in charge of other students, because that's not going to end well. It doesn't work with our kids. It's not going to work well with students either in school, especially people who don't know each other. Carmelo he wasn't very familiar with this child, but all he knew is, you're not going to push me around. Same way we feel. There are many of us here, many black people that feel like, I'm tired of being pushed around. You're not going to push me around. You're not going to tell me what to do. And the bottom line is, the bigger picture, the biggest picture, he was not legally authorized to remove that child. I don't care what the coach told him. He was not legally authorized to put his hands on that child to make him do something that he didn't want to do. A lot of
Right.
people.
So, so let me ask you this question, right? I want to ask everybody. James Harlem just left. I was hoping to get him in on this, but it's okay. If you're still there, James, you could just hop back on. All right. So let's just look at this really, really seriously. I'm not sure. I'm getting some feedback here. Somebody needs. Hold
I
on.
think Linwood is trying to speak, but you can't hear him.
No, I'm not speaking.
Linwood.
I'm
Okay.
not speaking.
So anyway, here we go. Let me ask this question real quick. The guy was not supposed to. Carmelo Anthony was not supposed to have a knife at school. Give me your best 1 minute argument as to why he's going to be able to get around that in this case. Genesis, you can go first.
First of all, it wasn't at school. Okay.
Hold,
It
hold
was
on,
a
hold on. And I'm the very one that's been saying that. I'm tired. So he had it at a school event. For the record, thanks for catching that. So he had a knife at a school event. Okay, so how would you explain yourself out of that situation as the first main point of this case that he would have to get around? Let's see.
I would say this is that if you actually been to any tracks, they are off of school ground. They're all right. They're normally in a junior high school, like away from the school. You understand? So for the most part, like they are a individualistic thing that is held like in a certain area, right? There's no signage saying you cannot bring this into the thing, even though people know what the rules are.
Hold on. Let's stop. Let me correct you. So they showed us evidence in court. There was a sign up saying no alcohol, no drugs, no weapons. So if you want to reset, go ahead.
Oh, so at the because I went to the Mesquite High School track to see the
Okay,
kids.
so it wasn't Mesquite. It was down
First
in
of all, it
Texas.
actually says
So anyway, in this case, they've shown evidence that there was signage, and also the coach said they signed a waiver or what have you, saying that they won't bring weapons to school. So take that into consideration and argue why he was okay to have a knife at school. Let's go.
can't argue it. If it said that and they signed a waiver, he shouldn't have had it there. So that's
Okay, can you make any argument for Carmelo Anthony to not receive any time? Go.
To not to, I think he should get some time, not like life in prison. Not, I believe that he should get manslaughter. I don't think it's I don't, I believe it's murder. He did kill somebody. I think maybe second degree. I don't think it's first degree. He probably should receive some time, but not zero time. So that's probably where I might like be. If you're saying zero time, because the fact that he did, according to the law, break the law by having that knife and then using that in that situation. I don't know. I believe that he probably would probably
No,
get a
no,
little
no,
second.
no, no. So you're on the stand, right? And you have
Mhm.
to argue for his life. Give me the best minute. I want everybody give me your best argument as to why he should be given a pass for having a knife at school. Because that's what this is gonna boil down to. I gave you guys all the different surrounding scenarios, but make an argument for him as though he was your son or somebody that you cared about
Give me
tremendously.
a second and let somebody else answer. Let me just think about this. I gotta think about this. Let me just.
Okay, so Linwood Remedy, one of you guys want to chime in and try to make an argument as to how would you get around this knife at school business?
You don't.
Okay, so make your argument against it, for it. Just give us a one
My
minute spiel.
If a racist white supremacist messes with a powerless non-white person, white power over non-white powerlessness, Mr. Anthony did exactly what I would have done, which is maximum emergency compensatory justice. Plain and simple. I would rather do life in prison than let a racist white supremacist try to harm me. I
Okay,
have
so
no
now, so
I
now I
have no
have
argument,
to
sir. I
let.
say through the court system because it's ran by white supremacists. Burn it down to the ground. We don't need to keep having this argument about legal standards and all this other garbage. These people don't follow that. We're still playing by those same old cracker rules. They don't follow their own laws. If you look at the state of Texas, people walk around with knives and guns a lot, and it's very common in that state. What makes it so different for Mr. Anthony to walk around with a pocket knife? I'm not on the law side here, sir. I'm not even going to argue the points of order because bottom line is if they don't follow those points of order, why should we continue to do the same thing? Why should Mr. Anthony and his lawyers have to get up there and say, well, this was a self-defense case? No, two racist suspected white supremacists tried to harm me. And like the man in the movie Time to Kill, yes, I hope they die and I hope they burn in hell.
All
Okay,
right.
so let
So
me
I
just ask
finally
you.
have
Hold on one second.
That's what
Hold
I
on.
would go with.
Okay, so let me ask you this question in regards to what you said. How would you establish in court that a 17-year-old young kid is a white supremacist?
They're white, plain and simple. If they function
no.
as if they function as members of a race, they are suspected white supremacists. White equals terrorist. White equals racist. You know, it's cut and dry to me. That's like, listen to me. They're ISIS and they're the Taliban. You don't sit down and you don't try to make a legal argument with a suspected terrorist who has been terrorizing you, and his race of people have been terrorizing you in all areas of activity. Those areas include, sir, economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war, counter war. If you're powerless in a system of white supremacy where you have the enemy on the bench, the enemy in the jury box, how the hell do you get off? Even if you're in the right, how do you get off?
Okay, very good. That you did a minute. I respect what you said in regards to that. So now we're going to go to, and thank you. I hope you come back and join the discussion again and subscribe to the channel. We'd like to encourage everyone to like, share, subscribe. I'll be back in court this week. Remedy, give us a 1 minute on how are they going to get around the fact that he brought a knife into a school environment by extension.
All right, so I feel like I don't honestly I don't know why he can say that maybe he had it in his bag for protection because it is clear that he knew it was in his bag. He said, "If you touch me, you see what happens." But I think the defense should reach deeper. First of all, in Texas, they are saying that this was not considered illegal. It's not considered a weapon. It's considered a tool. So you can use it for many, many different reasons. Secondly, even though it wasn't at a school, it's a school event. And if they had had the proper, I want to say metal detectors, if they had had the proper searches or the security to make sure, because just like he was a kid that could have brought it in there, it could have been an adult like me, a psychopath or somebody who wants to come in there and do a shooting, just a random shooting for no reason. If they had had the proper staff or whatever they need to search and make sure that it wasn't in there, he would have been notified. He would have been, made aware that, hey son, you can't have this here. It may be legal, but this is not allowed here. You understand where I'm going? It's legal to carry it in Texas, and I don't blame the baby for carrying it on him. He's small. We are in a society, a world where you are absolutely crazy to think that race does not exist. It's here, it's alive, and it's showing.
Let me let me
Race.
ask you let me ask you real quick. Does the results let me mute you. Hold on. Does the results match the actions of Austin Metcalf? Go ahead.
When you say, what do you mean? Can you elaborate a little more?
So let me say it this way. Did his actions warrant him losing his life that day?
No.
I don't feel like he should have lost his life, but at the same time, I don't feel like Carmelo intended to kill this child. He even asked, was he going to be okay? He even told the coach he's not gonna die. I don't even think he realized where he stabbed him at or the extent, of the injury or what could have happened. He just wanted him to get up off of him. He didn't want him to, hurt him. And I don't know if people understand that even without a weapon, if that's everybody is not brave enough 130 pounds to stand up to a 220-pound fella and take a whooping or take a beat down. Some people are brave and they'll get the crap beat out of them. Sometimes you bounce back from it. Sometimes you can end up in the hospital, and I see people praying over you, hoping you make it. They are around metal. Even if that child had decided not to protect himself with the knife that he had in his bag, and they had jumped on that child, they are around metal. They could have punched him upside his head one time. He could have been killed. He could have fell and hit his head backwards on the bleachers. He could have been killed. Or even if he had pushed him, if he hadn't used a knife, if he had simply pushed that child, like, get the freak away from me, and that boy, as heavy as he is, fell down on those bleachers, he could have been killed then. I think it was all self-defense. And regardless of whether or not he was supposed to have the knife there or not, it still does not take away the fact that this case is about self-defense. This child was defending himself. He definitely wasn't provoking like the prosecutors are trying to sell. They're trying to say that he was provoking this child by saying no. Are you insane?
All
Because he said
right.
no, that's provoking? It's
Oh,
not.
thank you very much. You gave your answer. Hold on, let me mute it. Thank you very much for that. I'm getting some back feed from you, but thank you. I hope you come back on at 7 o'clock, which is very soon. I look forward to just having a little break. So now we're going to hear from DJ Genesis as the final one to explain or give us some explanation as to why and how they're going to get around the knife at the school event.
So, all right. So I have some time to think about it. And so what I believe, the only way that they can prove self-defense is if they can prove that it happened in a split second, a quick thing that happened, maybe even that Austin's forward momentum is that it wasn't necessarily like that Carmelo stabbed him, but his forward momentum while pushing him caused the knife to go into his chest. I believe that might be a thing that the defense might use to say that by Austin pushing Carmelo, He was moving forward. Karmelo had the knife, pulled it out, and mistakenly stabbed Austin. Other than that, if he pulled the knife out and stabbed him, that is going to be a problem. The only way to, in my opinion, to completely excuse him is if it was a mistake 100%. But there's also thing where, well, I stabbed him, but like, no, I didn't do that. So, okay. So there is some like things saying that, hey, he knew he had stabbed him. So it's so much things going on in this situation. Like, so maybe he didn't understand that stabbing somebody could kill him. I don't know. But the fear, like he's afraid, uh, I'm defending myself. I was they said that everybody was yelling at him all at the same time to leave the tent. Like maybe one person started and then everybody else began, and then maybe got overloaded in like so much going on that it just happened so quickly and I had no idea. That's the only way. If he can prove that like this happened spur of the moment, he didn't really understand what he was even doing, maybe they can like be able to fight this. Other than that, if he actually deliberately stabbed him, I think that he's going to get time. And that's
Well,
my.
but mainly the question that I'm asking is arguing how he was able to get a knife or bring a knife to school. How would you get around that argument?
I mean, they said he was camping, right? He's a camper. I even remember like that Austin and his brother were fishers, right? I mean, fishing, camping is a well-known thing in that area. So it might be a thing where it's commonly known to have knives and to be fishers and you know uh in those areas to do that, to have a weapon. Maybe that the knife was not really a thing that to stab somebody, but like I'm a camper, like I fish a lot. This bag, here's another thing, let me tell you this. When you go to high school, you have to have clear bags when you go to high school in Dallas and like the whole area, right? This particular bag had to be a separate bag from what he goes to high school with, because when you go to high school in the DFW County area, it has to be a plastic clear bag that security can see through. However, track meet, they don't have to have a clear bag. This could have been a bag that he used for hiking, and doing other things. So he probably could have had that knife in that particular bag, grabbed that bag for his track meet, and he just happened to have that knife in there. But in his school bag, you know what? Clear bag, no knife. So maybe they could like say, hey, this is my camping bag, but I brought to for track and field, but this is my normal bag I bring to school. Clear bag, plastic, you can see through it. There's no weapon. So maybe this was like a separate bag for that he uses for like camping, doing
The
regular
the
stuff.
the bag had, it was his school bag from Centennial, so we know that as
Oh,
evidence. It actually had it on there.
oh wow. So I don't know, because I know
Well,
like
who is his defense attorney?
I don't
Who's
know.
defending?
Say that again. I'm sorry, I can hear you.
Sorry to interrupt the young lady. Who is defending Mr. Anthony?
A person named Mike something, Mike.
Is it
Now,
Howard?
here's the question: what argument is he making? Now, the host, you're asking a very interesting question. What defense? Well, you don't bring it up because bottom line is you can't make an argument about why would it. I mean, listen, most schools guns are prohibited from being on the grounds, but yet you have an SRO officer on there that's loaded to the teeth, but those guns are allowed on premises. Think about that for a moment. Second thing we got to think about is, does he really camp? And if you're in school, what do you need a knife for? Are you being bullied? Were you being bullied? Was something going on where you had to take matters in your own hands. You couldn't just go run to mom and daddy. You had to stand on your own 2 feet and handle it. And most black kids get bullied a lot in school. And some people, we're not just going to keep going to mom and daddy saying, hey, get the administrator to stop it. Either the administrator is going to stop it, which most of them are suspected white supremacists. I'll put that suspect on the top of it. So our kids are in danger from word go. So and I'll put this argument on the table. What are our children supposed to do to defend themselves against racist aggression? Are they supposed to just take it and say God bless them and forgive them? And what are they supposed to do in any of those situations? Turn the other cheek? Go around to the administrators crying? What are they supposed to do in that scenario?
I think the biggest mistake is to turn this into a racial issue.
It's already a racial issue, ma'am. We listen. It's no shade at you, my dear, but as black people, we have got to stop this foolishness of just think, oh, there's no racial issue here.
I'm saying, like, when it comes down to a trial, that is not going to get him off by saying it's a racial
all
issue.
areas of activity is based on race. When you look at the look,
but that's not going to get him off.
I don't give a shit. Excuse me. I don't care if it doesn't get him off. That makes our valid point.
But saying it's race is not like, oh, it's a racial, the white people, whatever. That's not going to. Bottom line, it's about the law, and
they don't follow the law, man.
Hold on, the example
they don't follow that law.
Was me trying to understand.
They wrote it, but they don't follow it.
Standpoint, maybe it was about like that he had a bag or whatever. Everything I said, hey, Mel was able to say, nope, it wasn't a clear bag. It wasn't because of that. There was a school bag. So this seemed to me like he might be cooked, to be quite honest. And I don't care how much race you want to bring into it. It sounds to me like they're gonna like be able to not even care about like the fact that he had that knife on the school, on that, like, not even school grounds, but a school property, even like outside. Once you get past that mark that says you're on school ground property, can't have weapons there.
Then you can't have SROs on property with guns. We saw what happened in Uvalde when a school shooting and did that, and then
but they are nothing. They have a permit to have SROs.
They had a permit, but they didn't do nothing with it.
Security has a permit. There's no knife permit that exists in any law, and maybe after this they will come up with a law about like having a knife permit. But what happens is that, like with guns, it's very clear what the law is, but with knives, it isn't. So maybe this might be a precedent-setting case that's going to happen when it comes down to actually having a concealed knife.
But ma'am, they're in Texas. This is the wild, wild west of laws here. Then you're going to be contradicting yourself if you really sit back and think about it.
Yeah, so
because you can't have knives on a property, but you got guns on a property. Which one's gonna make sense?
But you have to have a license to have a gun. But there's no license for a knife. That's the problem. There's license to carry, licenses that exist. So even if a person has an SRO, that's a license to carry as a security officer on the grounds of the school. There is no such thing as a license to carry a knife. So all this is going to do by this case is going to be an example. We need to have license to carry a knife now, and other. I mean, what if he had like a stun gun and he used a stun gun and then he had a heart attack based on using a stun gun? Then what?
Right.
Well,
so listen.
Wait a minute. Well, I'm sorry to cut the host off here because I definitely want to give the host his flowers here because this is a constructive conversation, but we got to look at the logic of this here. Yes, you are right. That's not going to get him off. And personally, I don't want him to get off because I think this sets an example of, okay, the laws don't work for black people in this country. They just don't. Let's just admit that and move on. It don't work for us.
This is not about black or white. This is about having a weapon or not.
Ma'am.
About black and white, but
ma'am, I don't care about them.
Hold on.
Their own laws.
Okay, so guys,
if the laws that are written on the books are not applied equally, why the hell do you think that us as
Bro,
black
this is
people?
not about like that.
Hold
This
on,
is
hold on,
about if
guys.
you have a
Hold on,
weapon
hold
on
on.
property. That's what it really boils down to.
Okay, so we're gonna end it there, unfortunately, because this is turning into an argument. So we're gonna be back on at 7 o'clock with criminal defense attorney Calvin Johnson. Look forward to having you guys back. Remedy, we're gonna have her come back and talk about what happened to her son. Okay, which is very important, but we're gonna do it as a separate show. So we're just going to take a few minutes because I've been live now for almost 4 hours and I typically only do an hour. So at any rate, we'll be back in a few minutes with criminal defense attorney Calvin Johnson. We'll reset, refresh, and go at it again for another couple hours. All right. So thank you very much. During the week I'm in court, it's very hard for me to stream like this. Boots on the ground. In another state. So it's nice over the weekend to catch up. But Calvin is going to help us really understand all of the legal questions that you guys have. I thank you to all of the guests, even though we have varying opinions. It's great that you guys even came up to share in this conversation. Thank you guys. We'll be back in about 20 something odd minutes. We'll see you then. Thank you.
Different voices, but the same song. Building a world where we all belong. Kindness leading the way, breaking the chains. In the symphony of love, the thing remains. Embracing diversity, brighter days in sight. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. The colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might.